Schaefer. Happer and wow, Schaefer's Happer and Mike. Yeah. Happer and Schaefer. Happer and Schaefer. Happer and wow, Schaefer's Happer and Mike.
All right, good morning and welcome in. Happy Thursday. It is Happer and Schaefer here on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer alongside just Joey Warcola today.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's right.
Whoa. Just
Solo.
the two of us.
I'm throwing it back to the roots. Doing a little solo show with Joey, just kicking in some jokes every now and
back
then.
to the Connor Happer show.
Yeah, this will be exciting.
Might as well. Good throwback.
This will be fun. Schaefer will be back tomorrow. I'll be out tomorrow, and it'll be. I think it's the Stibbs show tomorrow, right?
Yeah, it is the Stibbs show tomorrow.
Oh, baby!
He is debuting the morning.
Awesome. And then we'll all be back together on Monday, and it'll basically be football season at that point. So we're excited about that. And
speaking of football, we are a week away for background preseason Hall of Fame game.
Oh wow!
Next Thursday, August 6th.
Next Thursday, I might have it on in the background depending on what the Royals are doing.
Carolina Panthers are on. Who knows?
Okay, that makes it a little bit more likely that it'll be on in the background.
And it's Mike Schaefer's favorite, Mike Tirico and Chris Collinsworth together.
You know what? I made sure, since I knew it was just going to be me and you this morning, Joey, I made sure that I did a broadcaster segment just for you today. So I have a broadcaster segment all set up. The Big Ten Network announced their crew of talent they have coming up for this upcoming football season yesterday. So we will get to a couple of those things throughout the show today. It is Big Ten Media Days Day 3, the final day of Big Ten Media Days. Mercifully, it is nearly over. Otherwise, I think if they wouldn't have had a time limit on the coaches, they would have just allowed PJ Fleck to talk for 3 days straight.
Yeah, I was curious how long did he go until
I believe he got right around 10 minutes for an opening statement. And so the coaches are only allotted about like 14 minutes because they got to get them out, and then the next coach has to come in like right away, and that's what they do. And so I think Fleck took 2 questions.
Okay, because last year I think I remember he spoke a little longer. I think it was like 12 minutes, and he took like one question.
Took one question
from the Vegas,
and that was. I mean, to be fair, whichever way you want to get it done, he covered everything he was going to cover.
So I heard he was quoting some politicians, JFK, I think.
Oh, he was quoting a lot of.
He was quoting a lot of people. Oh, there's PJ Fleck right now.
Yeah, on the replay, he was quite talkative. I think he talked even faster and louder than normal. Yesterday, Big Ten Media Days, which is kind of maybe that means good things for Minnesota this year. Who knows? You know what's funny, and we'll do this actually in our next segment. But he had in his rant at the start of his press conference yesterday, he had a stat that turned out to be true. I had to fact check him first. He had a stat that he gave that turned out to be true. And I was interested because I actually do think it means something. It is sort of out of thin air. It's a stat, quote unquote, that I've never really heard before. But I do think it's a good thing. And so we'll get to that. Sorry about the overly teased topic there. Matt Rule will talk today. He will lead the day off in front of the big podium at 11:30 this morning. I don't know what Matt's plans are, but I would imagine maybe you can hear that right here on 1620.
Oh, that'll be a first in the new studio.
Maybe he'll just take that live. I don't know if he has a guest at that point in time. I don't know what he's got planned.
What he does.
But either way, whether it's live or not, you will be able to hear snippets of it at some point, or at the very least, Matt break it all down and what Rule had to say. And then, of course, he'll break off and do a variety of different radio interviews off to the side, and he'll have his side podium for about an hour, and there will be plenty that comes out of that. So this is the Nebraska day, the Nebraska contingent, the rest of the Nebraska contingent, Justin Evans, Luke Lindenmeyer, Andrew Marshall will all be talking this afternoon as well. They'll be making appearances on the Big Ten Network. Another member of the Nebraska contingent, Troy Dannon, talked yesterday. He went a day early because they had Big Ten athletic director meetings yesterday, and there was some stuff that came out of that. So we will have that coming up on the show today. No jersey patches for Nebraska in 2026. That's right. The topic that we thought was never going to die has died, at least for now. And
it'll be an off-season topic for next year.
Apparently,
it's gonna be an off-season topic. You and Mike are gonna be tired of talking about.
I think probably. So. I think so.
It'll be on the tier list.
We will have. There's a couple more things that I want to say about it before we finally put it to bed for this particular offseason. So we will do that as Troy Danon talked to a couple of members of the local media yesterday. I think Mitch and Sam both got him, and they both had good breakdowns of what he had to say and some of the things that we should be looking forward to this fall. Today, coming up on the show, Brian Christopherson will join us from Chicago at 8:30 this morning. That is following I Have an Opinion. Get those opinions in. I have a couple stacked up from the last few days. There's a few that trickle in usually throughout the week. And so I have a couple of those, and we could use a lot more. So hit us up however you want to do so. Max Olson, I think, will join us. I haven't confirmed with him yet. I've seen him in the background of a couple of these shots at Big Ten Media Days, but the festivities don't really start until 10:30 or 11:30 in the morning. So I would imagine Max will be able to join us unless he's got like a breakfast date or something like that this morning. But we will likely be talking to both of our guests from Chicago this morning. Also, like I mentioned, 8:00 rolls around. It's time for I Have an Opinion. You all most certainly have opinions on things that you have seen, on things that you have heard, on things that you do not like, on things that you do like. A proclamation of sorts. That all counts. It all goes in I Have an Opinion. So send those opinions in, and we will open up that bag coming up in just a little under a couple of hours. We want to hear from you today on the show, 402-951-1620 on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. You can call or text that number. Tweet at us on the Liquid Trucking Zone Twitter feed at Schaefer, at Connor Happer. You can still tweet at Mike J. Schaefer. He won't probably see it until later, if at all.
He'll probably react tomorrow.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe he jumps on tomorrow or something. I imagine Schaefer will jump on Twitter at some point
Probably
today.
One of those.
So you guys are dumb. Maybe. You have the opportunity to confuse him, if you'd like, with just sending him random tweets about something that he has no context for. So you can send him those at Mike J. Schaefer on the Liquid Trucking Zone Twitter feed. You can email Connor, Mike, or Joey at 1620thezone.com on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox.
Who's that huge guy?
And we say good morning to our YouTube streamers this morning. Good morning, YouTube streamers. Yes, thank you, nobody, for keeping us up with all of the news. No patch for Nebraska this year. Debo writes in, can't be a rant without a gong. If you have a rant, I think the best way to rant on a radio show is to call into the radio show. So if you have a rant, you can call us on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline at 402-951-1620. Do your rant. If it's good enough, deemed by Joey, and only Joey, the judge, jury, and executioner here, he will give you the rant gong.
I will.
The rant gong is available to all if the rant is passionate enough. Let's just say.
I would say that it has to meet that criteria.
And really, it's not much after that. Just passion. Give us the passion. 402-951-1620. You have the ability to, you at home or in your car, you have the ability to get the rant gong. We'll do our college football preview, starting to really sift through these teams now, which is a good thing. We'll free ball a little bit later on in the show. Joey's headlines all still coming on a regular old Thursday show. But Joey, strap in. It's just me and you. We'll have some fun this morning, and we can't do it without you. So thanks for joining us this morning. We'll take a quick time out, step aside. To what PJ Fleck said yesterday, the made-up stat that I just mentioned, I want to dive into it a little bit because I do think he mentioned something important. We'll have a little bit of a recap of day 2 at Big Ten Media Days, including everybody catching the Bob Chesney breeze yesterday.
Oh, boy.
Oh, they were catching it.
Oh, boy.
People were excited about Bob Chesney yesterday. I heard from multiple people who were at Big Ten Media Days yesterday who said, I think I like this Bob Chesney guy. And I'm like, I am not surprised to hear this because we've been feeling the Bob buzz for weeks. We'll take a break and be back right after this on a Thursday on Happer and Schaefer on 1620 The Zone.
Chance for a few scattered showers and thunder showers Thursday in the morning and early afternoon. Otherwise, expect mostly cloudy, warm, humid conditions with highs in the mid to upper 80s. Then a chance for stronger storms as we head into Thursday night. Best chances after 10 p.m. in the metro. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV Newswatch 7.
I will have plenty from day 2 of Big Ten Media Days yesterday. Of course, like I said earlier, Troy Danon said a few different things we will get to as we go on later on in the show. Let's jump around the conference a little bit here. Day 2 ended up being a variety of different things. First of all, the coaches that spoke, PJ Fleck, Pat Fitzgerald, Barry Odom, Ryan Day, Bob Chesney, and Dan Lanning. I always feel bad, as a side note here, I always kind of feel bad for what everybody assumes is going to be the worst team in the conference and their coach getting up there. Poor Barry Odom yesterday got up and, he's keeping the energy up and things like that. The first question that he gets asked is, obviously, he's the coach at Purdue, and the blood rival of Purdue is Indiana, who just happened to have a magical season and obviously have a unicorn for a head coach. First question that he gets asked is, hey, what do you think about all this Indiana success?
Oh,
no. Oh, jeez. Well, what are you supposed to do? That is a life right now for Barry Odom. They were also talking about on the Big Ten Network last night as they were sort of wrapping up with DiNardo and all those guys, Howard Griffith. They were like, yeah, they have a really tough schedule, and I don't know why they have such a tough schedule. They need to stop that. Like, they have a tough non-con. They play Wake Forest and Notre Dame in the non-con. Like, the first thing I'm doing if I'm Barry Odom is I'm going to my new athletic director and I'm saying, can you chill out? Can we not do this? Because the Big Ten grind is already hard enough. So that's my note on Purdue. There was Bob buzz yesterday. People are starting to catch the wave of Bob Chesney. They think he's got the personality to make it work. As I mentioned over the last couple of days, we saw some columns come out of some columns, come out of Los Angeles of like, I'm sorry, not Barry Odom. Bob Chesney might do the impossible here, like win football games. And I tell you what, UCLA has always been a place. Obviously, it's a special place. It's a unique place that can get talent, but is not always bought in terms of the fan base. And like, if they're bad, people just completely ignore it in Los Angeles, given that there's a lot of other stuff going.
I mean, for the fans base perspective, if they're bad, why drive all the way from campus, which is on the other side of the map?
There's just no reason to. And so you need a guy who, obviously is going to win football games first and foremost, but I think is going to kind of invigorate the people as well. And Bob Chesney has the type of personality that it seems like he's going to be able to do that. Is he going to be able to win football games? We'll see. It's going to be difficult for them, as it is for every team in the Big Ten, especially the ones who are a little bit further down the list, just in terms of recent success. But he does seem like he has the personality to sort of galvanize some people. They're in a better position, it sounds like, from a financial standpoint, which is good. I'm watching UCLA this year. We'll have our Big Ten superlatives a little bit later on. I'm always amazed, point 2 here. I'm always amazed by the Ohio State guys and their massive expectations that they have on their shoulders. Like, I've been at this event several times, and, whenever the Ohio State guys come around, there's always a little bit of an aura about them. And it was, I think, even more so with Urban Meyer as their head coach, and Urban Meyer certainly has that. Some of it is, there's some coaches who walk into the building, who walk into the hotel ballroom, and they're friendly with everybody, and they start kind of shaking hands with everybody, and they're like, hey, how you doing? Good to see you. How's your golf game going? Stuff like that. Urban Meyer wasn't really like that, and I think that gave him a little bit, like, he was just, there was this sort of, untouchability about him. And I think he imparted that on his players. With that comes this pressure, and they talk about it every single year. I remember specifically, I think it was my first time that I went to one of these things. We sat down with JT Barrett, and I was like, well, you're the favorite for the Heisman. And like, is there anything you just want to say? I don't know what the question was. I probably accountability. Maybe I didn't ask a question, but I basically asked him about his expectation of winning the Heisman. He's like, yeah, well, I am the quarterback at Ohio State. It's kind of what we're supposed to do. And I'm like, all right, that makes sense to me. We're not. So you heard the Ohio State guys yesterday with Jeremiah Smith and with Julian Sand, and they were like, yeah, we don't lose games. That's our expectation. It is a heavy weight on our shoulders. And oftentimes people mention that at the end of the year when they play Michigan, and they haven't obviously had a lot of recent success against them. They did win the game last year. They haven't had a lot of recent success against Michigan this year. And that heat is mentioned because oftentimes you could see them kind of cracking at oh my gosh, this pressure is so much. And there's so much pressure exclusively to beat Michigan that right at the end of the year, it kind of cracks on them. Then, of course,
literally that's like a deal breaker for fans with the head coach, Ryan Day.
100%.
People were putting him on the hot seat just because of that particular game alone. The 11 games they've won don't really matter for the fans. It matters more. I mean, it matters to win those games leading up to the college football playoff, but beating Michigan is another thing to add to that resume.
Yep. So it was the same as it always was for Ohio State yesterday, which is we're going to win the national championship. We don't lose games. We're going to have the Heisman winner. In fact, Mike Hall was messing with Jeremiah Smith and Julian Sand. He was like, what happens if you guys are like both Heisman finalists? And they were just like, whatever. It's just kind of one of those things. And there was a third guy up there, and it was like, well, who do you want to win the Heisman? And he's like, it'd be great if one of them was up there at the end of the year. They always play it pretty straight. That's Ohio State. It's a very professional, type of outfit and organization they have there. But there is always that extra pressure of being Ohio State, and oftentimes they end up beating themselves. Pat Fitzgerald, who's on right now, if you're watching the replay, which I'm pretty sure we're the only people who are watching the replay and taking part in this radio show, he's now the coach at Michigan State. He mentioned yesterday that he does not have a chip on his shoulder, but he has an entire bag of chips on his shoulder.
What a quote.
Which I thought was pretty good. He was asked about, obviously, being back at this event and in the conference and what he's learned in his time away. And he was like, look, man, I was calling plays for Loyola, whatever high school team he was coaching or middle school team he was coaching. He was like, I was doing that. I was busy, and obviously get to watch his son play a little bit at Iowa and things like that. But he mentioned, and it was a real deadpan, and he just ended the answer. He was like, I don't have a chip on my shoulder. I have an entire bag of chips. And that was it. And everyone was like, oh, woof. All right. So I do think, I don't know if it's now, I don't know if it's this year. They're scary. He's good. Everybody knows Pat Fitzgerald is good. I don't know if it, like, once again, we've talked about where Nebraska gets them in the season and how important that is. I do think that's awfully important because they're just going to get better and better and better as they go on. To get them right out of the chute in conference play, I think is a good thing. There's no doubt about that.
Right after the Notre Dame game, especially.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, and there's that piece of it too. So just to get them right out of the gate, I think it's the best possible time to get them because they're going to be better at the end of the year. My guess would be they're going to pick somebody off. Maybe they're going to come up a little bit later on in the show. We get to our Big Ten superlatives, and then there's PJ Fleck, who I didn't. I'm not sure what he delivered on the word count yesterday, but it did near 10 minutes as far as the opening statement was concerned. I'm not sure if Brett McMurphy went through the word count on him in particular. He should have, but he did it with the commissioners over the last couple of weeks. And Tony Petitti, of course, had the least amount of words. Nice job by him. So PJ Fleck yesterday, he decided that he was going to talk even louder and faster than normal. He went to a new PJ Fleck speed. It's his 10th year at Minnesota. He's very, very excited about all the accomplishments, the academic accomplishments, and the fact that they've been to 7 bowl games and they've won 7 bowl games in 10 years. Obviously, you've only had a chance to go to bowl games in 8 of those seasons.
Yeah.
8 of those 9 seasons so far, of course, with 2020 not being a part of it. So they only missed a bowl game in his first year, and they have been to a bowl game in every other year that they could have, and they won one. He's very excited about that. He's very happy about that. He also dropped this stat. And I want you to tell me and let us know, 402-951-1620, if you feel like this is an important thing. Because I sort of looked at him sideways yesterday, but he has this kind of persuasion about him. And, you kind of, when you're there with him, because I remember Fleck's first media day, and I was like, ooh, I kind of believe this guy. He's quirky. He's talking really, really fast, but I believe him. And there's sort of this kind of magnetism about him. And so he dropped this. Minnesota is the only school in the Big Ten year over year to return their same head coach, their same offensive coordinator, their same defensive coordinator, and their same quarterback from 2025. And while clearly and admittedly that stat is made up only to make him look good, they are the only school in the Big Ten that can say that they've accomplished that year over year. They have PJ Fleck back. They have Greg Harbaugh back as their offensive coordinator. They have Danny Collins back as their defensive coordinator. And they have Drake Lindsey back as their quarterback this year. They are the only school in the Big Ten that goes 4 for 4, as PJ Fleck said yesterday. And I heard that and I was like, first of all, is that true? And it is. And second of all, how much does that matter? And I was thinking about it in a year and in a space in college football where we oftentimes see that continuity matters in a variety of different areas. If you have a experienced quarterback who has been around the block, we're going to talk about Anthony Calandria and experience a little bit later on in the show. If you have a quarterback who has been through the league, or I'm sorry, an offensive coordinator who has been through the league a few times and knows what to do and knows how to do it. Same thing with the defensive coordinator. And the same thing with the head coach to manage the game. We're talking about the staff at Minnesota have been together for a while now. And Drake Lindsey came up through the same school of all the other Minnesota quarterbacks. They're not a huge get a transfer portal guy place and plug them in for 1 year. Although Brosmer was one of those guys a couple of years ago. Drake Lindsey said that he learned a lot from Max Brosmer. But you think of guys like Tanner Morgan and well, like we've been around for a long time. And that if we can make it so it lines up where I'm in my second, if you're the quarterback, you're in your second year or your third year of starting and you have all the same apparatus around you and you're kind of running like a top a little bit, that matters. That matters to me. And so I looked around the rest of the Big Ten and I found that I don't know how much more or less of a volatile offseason in terms of coaching changes and coordinator changes it was this year. But I looked around and I found that there were only a couple schools that returned all three out of, three out of those four things: head coach, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, and quarterback. Wisconsin was one of them. Wisconsin has their same head coach, offensive coordinator, and defensive coordinator, but a different quarterback this year. We'll talk about Wisconsin a little bit later. Maryland has three. They have their head coach back. They have their DC back. They have their quarterback back. They have a new offensive coordinator this year. Indiana has three out of the four back. They have their head coach, OC, DC back, but obviously Fernando Mendoza is gone. Iowa, classic, has everybody back except for their quarterback year over year. We don't know who their quarterback is going to be. Washington is an interesting case because they have their head coach back. They have their defensive coordinator back. They have their quarterback by some way of God. Damon Williams is back at Washington. They lost their offensive coordinator to the Seattle Seahawks, but their new offensive coordinator is just Jed Fish. Jed Fish is just going to call plays this year. So that's a lot of continuity up there at Washington. Yeah. I would look at those teams, and obviously there's schedule factors that go into these things and stuff like that. I would look at those teams who have this continuity year over year, and maybe even more specifically and more so if you're talking about the same guys 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, stuff like that in a row. If you're fortunate enough to have a 2-year starting quarterback, I think you already have a leg up on the rest of the Big Ten. So that's where guys like Jaden Mayava come into play. And every coach will tell you, they made moves during the offseason or they lost coordinators during the offseason, and it was a good thing, right? Like, hey, we lost a coordinator to the NFL. Okay, that's a good thing for us. We lost a quarterback to the NFL. Okay, that's a good thing for us. Or we had to fire a coordinator because they were terrible, and our next coordinator is obviously going to be better. I think that's what Matt Rule is going to be telling you today. They have 2 out of the 4 back. Of course, their offensive coordinator is back. Their head coach is back. They have a new defensive coordinator, but they expect that guy to be an upgrade over last year's defensive coordinator. They have a new quarterback. They expect that guy to be an upgrade over last year's quarterback. It's interesting to me, and I do think it means something. Now, does it mean an extra X amount of wins? I don't know. Once again, you're still as talented as the talent says you are, and your schedule is still what your schedule is. But I do think continuity matters. And like I said, we'll talk about a little bit later in the show, Anthony Calandria and how much he has played, first of all, college football, and then the stats that go behind it. And then some other guys around the league start to pop out and you say, oh, this is a league that really values experience and that really values guys who have been around for a long time, older guys, especially at the quarterback position. And then at the coordinator spots too. Not that you can't have, young coordinators who burst on the scene, but a lot of times in the Big Ten, that hasn't necessarily been the thing that has worked. It's consistency over time. And that is one of the things that Matt Rule is starting to, like you're here long enough and all of a sudden it turns into consistency. And so we'll talk about that a little bit later on in the show. Let's go to the YouTube comments here. Here's Nobody. Made up to make Fleck good. I'm pretty sure the term consistency has been in the dictionary for centuries now. No, nobody. I was talking about that specific stat. We have our quarterback, head coach, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, all back at the same time. He made that up, or his sports information director made that up to say in front of everybody at Big Ten Media Days yesterday, because conveniently, Minnesota is the only school that fits that criteria in the Big Ten. That's what SIDs do, and they do a really good job at it. Text from the 402. Connor, what kind of chips do you think he would wear on his shoulder? Pat Fitzgerald.
Tortillas.
I don't know. Ruffles seems like a Ruffles guy. Seems like a good.
Ruffles are highly underrated. Chip.
I don't know what Pat Fitzgerald gets into. He seems relatively bland to me. So he goes, that's where you go.
Kettle chips.
Go to the kettle chips. Maybe that's even too much. Maybe you just go to the straight old yellow bag of Lay's, which I don't think I've had a straight up yellow bag of Lay's in a long time.
Yeah, I have not touched that in forever.
If it comes with, like oftentimes it's in a pile at a barbecue, like here, go through the line, get a burger, and then grab the bag of yellow Lay's.
Or if I have a box of variety chips and that happens to be one of the only available.
Is that the last one that gets eaten in the variety box?
No, it's not. It's usually the sour cream and onion.
Oh, no, sour cream and onion is good. You're not into it? Not for me.
Not really. I mean, I'll eat them, but they're just there's other flavors I enjoy better than that.
That makes sense. Bada Bing writes in on YouTube. When Ohio State plays Michigan, who do you guys root for? I'd root for generally whichever team would be the funniest if they lost. Okay, whichever team has the most on the line, I root for that team to lose. So, if Ohio State is number 1 undefeated and Michigan is 7-4 or something like that, and they're just trying to get to the Citrus Bowl, I am rooting for Michigan. It hurts me to do that because generally I would say that I'm more of an Ohio State guy than a Michigan guy. I detest Michigan more than I detest Ohio State. But I'm mostly just rooting for Schaefer.
I'm an Ohio State guy. I have a sister that graduated from the University of Ohio, the Ohio State University. She graduated from.
So you're out on Michigan no matter what.
I'm out on Michigan no matter what. If that was not a thing to take in consideration, it would still be Ohio State just because of all the stuff Michigan's been involved with.
Oh, I don't blame you for that.
Last few years.
I'm certainly.
But Ohio State, regardless, they're my second team.
Maybe
as a family.
Ohio State is going to come up in the balls of steel today. So we will take.
I think we already previewed.
Oh, did we?
Yeah,
I think we have done Ohio State. We're running out of teams, especially in the Big Ten, to do at this point. So we'll see what we land on.
We've done 10 from the Big Ten.
Okay. All right. Well,
not Nebraska though.
Oh, there is 18 teams in the Big Ten.
We've done 3 in the SEC. So
people forget that.
Hopefully we end up breaking them down.
Don't forget to get your opinions in for I Have an Opinion coming up at 8:00 this morning. You could send that in whichever way you'd like. But the preferred method for I Have an Opinion is Twitter on the Liquid Trucking Zone Twitter feed at @HappenSchafe. You can tweet at us there. I'll be monitoring that throughout the show. We'll take a quick time out and be back after this on 1620 The Zone. Enter online for your chance to win 1620 The Zone's 5K preseason plunder. Stock up on provisions before the start of the season, or whatever way you'd like to spend your cold, hard cash. Enter to win at 1620thezone.com. It's sponsored by Ag Consulting Group. That is the preseason 5K plunder. Enter now at 1620thezone.com. I have handed the balls over to Joey this morning. So he's going to shuffle them up. I'd say give me 3 or 4. It's up to you. 3 or 4 balls out of there, and then I'll do the math, and we'll pick a page.
Already gonna see what we got.
Is this your first time operating the balls machine?
This is not.
Okay, good.
I got 5, but I'll just do 3 out of this.
That's fine.
First number 23, 33,
33,
9, and then 27.
27. That's page 92.
That might be another Big Ten team.
Oh, that's okay. We like the Big Ten. This is Big Ten country after all. Anyway,
That's true.
We are 1 page past Maryland.
We already did Maryland.
How about Michigan State?
We have not done Michigan State.
Perfect. We were just talking about Pat Fitzgerald and his chips and his shoulders. By the way, Sindelar writes in on YouTube, speaking of chips, the final chip bag in the chip bag pile is always the unflavored Fritos, which I think he's right about that. Depending on what kind of mix pack you're getting. I like Fritos too. Where I was at this weekend, there was some Fritos disparaging across the room. I like Fritos. I just don't want to eat Fritos by themselves. I don't like more than just 1 or 2. Like it's a dip. It is a dip chip.
Or it's
a great dip chip.
Or you mix them in with some chili dogs or whatnot.
Absolutely. Do the walking tacos, things of that nature. Those are fantastic. All right. Michigan State is picked 16th in the Big Ten, according to our friend Brett Ciancia from Pick 6 Previews. So, of course, they have Pat Fitzgerald. You know Pat Fitzgerald. Last year was more of a disaster than I expected it to be for them. They had some close games in their significantly long losing streak. They had a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 game losing streak.
Yeah, they started 3-0 and then lost 8 in the middle.
Lost 8 in a row and then ended up beating Maryland to end the season. By that point, they were already way off the rails, and Jonathan Smith had gotten fired already. And so Michigan State is an interesting one, of course, this year. Now, the thing with Michigan State, so let me read you from Brett's preview here. After hitting rock bottom in 2023, Michigan State hired Jonathan Smith to rebuild the program. That is Mr. Fluidity, in the same way he turned his alma mater, Oregon State, from the punching bag to the top 25. The 5-7 transition year with the signature win over Iowa was understandable, but the lack of progress in his second season quickly warmed up the hot seat, starting 3-0 and then completely cratering after that was the thing that did Jonathan Smith in. I just, with the Pat Fitzgerald effect, it's just a team that I am concerned about, right? I don't know how good they're going to be. I don't know how early they're going to be wherever they're going to get to, how early, they're going to max out. But you do know they're going to max out at some point because that coach is really, really good. And I think I would imagine there's no concern over whether he still has quote unquote got it or not. Like, he's still a pretty young guy, and that whole bag of chips on his shoulder thing, like that's a real deal. The outlook is this: Michigan State went with the opposite approach and brought in Pat Fitzgerald to the Big Ten. They also flipped their transfer strategy to bring in experienced players from the non-AQ tier, college production over signing day hype. The Megaphone Trophy returns with Notre Dame back on the schedule. What that means, they need to find 4 league wins to earn a bowl bid. This is a program rebuilding year that should pay dividends in 2027. Obviously, the schedule is a little bit challenging for them this year. Can they reach a bowl? Here are some games that they can win. Toledo, Eastern Michigan.
They'll win those 2.
They could beat Nebraska.
Toledo might be a bumpy road game.
They could beat Wisconsin. They could potentially beat Illinois. They should probably beat Northwestern or be right there with them. UCLA is a toss-up, I think, too. Michigan is probably not. Washington is probably not. Oregon is definitely not. And then they have Rutgers at the end of the year. Can they find 6 out of those maybe games?
It's going to be very tough.
I don't know.
It's going to be very tough. I think 5 is what I could guarantee. Four or 5.
I'm not sure that I see it. But man, you know that they're going to maximize with that group. They're going to find a way to get the most out of it. And whatever that is, I think Brett's right. It'll set the tone for 2027, what's happening going forward. Husker Homer writes in, Kenneth Williams will return one against us. Eckler will be smiling in SoCal. I don't know that Eckler will be smiling in SoCal, but Kenneth Williams is going to be returning kicks for Michigan State this year. And so you would imagine that he's going to want to try and take one back against Go Big Red this year. There's no doubt about that.
Don't need another infamous punt return touchdown at East Lansing.
No, we most certainly do not. Kick the ball the right way. What's the next ball on there?
The next ball is 13.
So if we just added 13 and 92, we get to 105. Should we go to 105?
Let's go ahead and go to 105.
Let's talk Utah for like 2-3 minutes here.
We haven't talked about Utah.
So pick 3rd in the Big 12 this year by Brett Ciancia, Big 6 previews. Of course, they go into the Morgan Scally era. A little bit different. Kyle Whittingham has been around for a long time. Man, they've had some consistency at that head coaching position, of course, with Herb and now with Whittingham ever since then. The outlook is this. Normally, the loss of all 9 starting linemen would be enough to sink the season. But thanks to years of elite player development, Utah has a pipeline of linemen, and they never lose their physicality edge. Even though Whittingham moved on, Scally's promotion means one thing. Utah is still Utah. They have the ultimate ace card at quarterback, the elusive Devin Dampier, and an upgraded receiver room despite all the changes. Utah remains in Big 12 title contention. They have Idaho, Arkansas. Wow, we have an Arkansas-Utah non-con game this year?
I'm guessing that's a home-and-home series.
Whoa, that's kind of weirdly fun. I don't know.
A nice little late-night game.
That's what
I know Arkansas was upset about the game time. I think I remember a couple of months ago when they announced the times, they were mad about playing the late-night schedule, how it's going to impact the student-athletes' mental health.
I remember that, yeah. This smells like one of those games, an Arkansas-Utah game where Arkansas like gets dangerously close to winning and the SEC honks come out of the clouds and they're like, look, this is the 2nd or 3rd best team in the Big 12 and our crap team almost beat them, on the road this year. That would be, that is exactly what's going to happen in this game. Utah's going to win like 27-21 and the SEC honks are going to come out of the clouds and start talking about how Arkansas isn't even good and they nearly beat the 2nd best team in the Big 12. Utah State, of course, in the non-con for them this year. They go to Iowa State, Kansas, at Colorado, Houston, at Cincinnati, BYU, at Arizona, at TCU, West Virginia. That schedule is really manageable. I mean, they're gonna be able to probably skate their way to 10 wins this year.
Yeah, I could see that. Probably their toughest game by far is the BYU game.
Yeah, no doubt.
Iowa State's, who knows what they're going to be.
Iowa State's going to stink.
They're going to stink.
I mean, Kansas is probably going to stink. Colorado's going to stink. Houston is maybe a little bit better this year. Cincinnati's probably going to stink. Arizona will be fine.
I will say their last 4 games are going to be the toughest stretch.
West Virginia's going to stink. I mean,
TCU could be good. Arizona could be a good team. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't know. Utah should be able to be in the upper echelon of the Big 12 and potentially fighting for a college football playoff spot at the end of the year. So there you go. Utah and Michigan State today on our balls of steel. Nice job, Joey. Way to spin them as always. Want to hear from you guys? 402-951-1620. Getting a couple of opinions in. This is good. We will get to those coming up in the 8 o'clock hour. When we come back, Troy Danon had some things to say yesterday at Big Ten Media Days. Of course, BC and Max Olson still coming up as well. We are an hour down here on Happer and Schaefer on a Thursday on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back. Just about 7 o'clock here on Happer and Schaefer, 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer, no Mike Schaefer this morning. He'll be back tomorrow. And Joey is the steadying force behind Happer and Schaefer. He's here every day. We've only done like one show without you. One set of shows without you. Anyway.
Yeah. It was because I
was it like 3 days or something like that?
It was 6 days because of a wedding. I was at.
See, time is a flat circle to me.
Next time I'll be gone will be in 3 months.
3 months?
Yeah.
I'm going to be gone tomorrow.
I know.
So I leave more often than you.
I plan on being gone I'll be
You're
gone.
You're not allowed to leave.
I'll be gone for that week and then I'll have to be gone like a few weeks later to be in a different state to celebrate.
The steadying force. We merely try to survive when Joey is not here. Joey still is able to thrive even when one of us or both of us are not here. Hopefully it's not the case that both of us aren't here. I don't think that happens very much. By the way,
it doesn't.
Joey just informed me during the break. Today's the final day to get entered in for the Road to Wrigley contest. What is the Road to Wrigley? If this is your first time hearing this, listen up. So we're teaming up with Union Bank and Trust to send you and a friend to Chicago, not for Big Ten Media Days, but for Nebraska volleyball. They play in Chicago this year. They actually play a couple matches in Chicago, but specifically we're going to send you to this one at Wrigley Field when they play Missouri on September the 6th, Sunday, September the 6th. And we'll get you a flight out there and back. We'll get you 2-night stay in a hotel in Chicago and 150 extra bucks on top. Enter right now, 1620thezone.com. We're giving you multiple chances to win every single day. But today is the final day to enter the Road to Wrigley, presented by Union Bank and Trust at UBT. People don't have your money has people. Member FDIC. Enter now. It is a grand giveaway, and you're going to want to be there for that.
Someone will probably be reminding you for one final time to head to our website to do such a thing.
Harry Carey?
Yeah. Our special
Will
guy.
Ferrell, a.k.a. By the way, have you watched... Have you dove into the new Will Ferrell show at all?
No, I have not.
It looks horrific. I mean, horrific.
Oh boy,
it looks really bad. Were you going to say it looks good, or were you going to say you heard good things?
No,
because I've only heard bad things.
I just heard that he was doing a show.
Oh yeah, he's doing like a golf show on Netflix. That's why he's been out there in public he's been doing press over the last couple of weeks. He's got a golf show on Netflix. It's called The Hawk.
Okay,
it looks horrific. And I have only heard bad things about it. And it's sad because Will Ferrell used to be good.
And you guys did a power rankings with tiers of all of his pretty much a good chunk of his characters or movies he's been a part of.
I don't know why he's doing this. I guess
probably the extra money he could use. Who knows?
I suppose.
Extra spending money.
I don't know, but
AK money.
He's out there right now, and he's doing podcasts and radio hits and stuff like that, and all for this show, which apparently is terrible. By the way, we have just got confirmation from Mike J. Schaefer himself with a text. It's horrendous. I believe him.
They're terrible.
I absolutely believe him on that. All right. From yesterday at Big Ten Media Days, Troy Danan went a day early because there were some AD meetings before. Apparently, there's a very long AD meeting. By the way, we got a text from the 616. The Hawk is funny. All right, that's the first time I've ever heard that from anyone.
Well, I mean, if we haven't,
the 616, by the way, is Michigan, so I don't know.
I mean, if we haven't watched it and we're kind of relying on the reviews, we should probably see it for ourselves before.
Do our own research.
Make our final judgment.
I'm telling you what I've heard. And now I've heard for the very first time anyone say that it is remotely funny. What I've heard is it's terrible. What I've heard is
they're terrible.
We'll see. But maybe we should
check this out.
Maybe we should check this out. All right. So Troy Danan goes and participates in some AD meetings around the Big Ten Media Days yesterday. And sits down with a couple members of the local media. One of the things that's been happening over the last several days is this buzz about the jersey patches. Ohio State came out with a very lucrative deal. JP Morgan Chase on their uniform. Like, whoa, that is a lot of money that is coming in for Ohio State. All to put a little tiny patch on all their uniforms throughout their entire athletic department.
Hoping for Wendy's for Ohio State. I was upset because Wisconsin had the Culvers and it would fit with the conferences.
Now, I think it fits with Ohio State to do a corporate investment bank like that. That actually vibes quite well. Yep. And then Notre Dame came out with theirs, and they went with SoFi, and that deal mogged Ohio State's deal. It's very, very lucrative. And so I looked at these over the we've talked about these over the last several days now, and it felt obvious to me that Nebraska was going that direction. I know Nebraska has been out there kind of, toying with it and pitching it to a variety of different people and entities and things like that. And then Troy Danon said yesterday that this is not going to be the year that they do it. They'll look again at it next year. And they're not going to have patches on their uniforms this year. They will, it sounds like, bring back the winning tradition patch. So if you're super into patches, then this is for you. But mostly what people were into for the patches, quote unquote, was the additional revenue stream that Nebraska would have brought in had they sold this. They either weren't able to, and I guess this is what's sort of up to you guys to decide and to decipher for yourselves. So 402-951-1620 if you have a thought on this. Nebraska did, according to Sam McEwen, who talked to Danon, explore finding a corporate sponsor for a jersey patch, similar to the Big 12, Wisconsin, Ohio State, Notre Dame. Nebraska, I'm just reading from Sam's story, Nebraska ultimately chose to pass on adding a patch in 2026. Ohio State and Notre Dame's deals are larger than a jersey patch, Danon said. Quote, there are campus-wide deals activated with it, but there are lingering questions about whether the jersey patches can be worn in postseason games or sewn onto jerseys being sold in stores. He said, quote, that would change the value of the patch. And quite honestly, there are 130 schools that are on the market for jersey patches, and next year there'll be 10. Most schools are going to have multi-year deals. I'd rather sit and wait. And then Sam says the Huskers will have the winning tradition patch sewn onto the redesigned jerseys. They did not appear on the recently unveiled jerseys, Danon said, because Adidas didn't install the patch and Nebraska sews it on instead. So once again, to recap, Nebraska went out there. They pitched the idea of the jersey patch and then ultimately came back and said, it's not going to be for us this year for a couple different reasons. Once again, this is from the words of Troy Danon. There are lingering questions about whether the jersey patches can be worn in postseason games or sewn onto jerseys being sold in stores, which, I mean, I think I don't know if it's an excuse to not do it entirely for the year, but it is at least a valid reason to say out loud, because you want to know what the value of it actually is. And there's no way to know what the value of it actually is if you don't know how many times you could wear it. Now, with that being said, that hasn't stopped literally anybody else from doing this. They've blown through the rules, and like if they can't wear it in the NCAA tournament, obviously the value of it goes down, but that's either baked or not baked into the cake for schools like Ohio State, Notre Dame, Wisconsin already, and they've found a way around that. So I don't know if that excuse is like completely valid to not do it this year, but it is a reason to at least sit back and gather more information. What I don't know about is this. He says, and quite honestly, there are 130 schools that are on the market for jersey patches, and next year there will be 10. Most schools are going to have multi-year deals. I'd rather sit and wait. So he seems to think that by sitting back a year and doing it next year, that their patch would be more valuable because there are less people going to the market for it. Once again, we are talking about likely, I don't know who they're all pitching it to here, but what we're likely talking about is a regional sponsor for this, or potentially even a local sponsor.
They probably want to spend more time just determining or looking at all the options they can potentially
yeah,
have
of
for
course. But I don't know how much more money Nebraska stands to make off this by sitting back a year. Well, the way I see it, it is a few $1 million, maybe 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, something like that, $1 million this year that they're just, that is just kind of sitting out there and not being sold, quote unquote, this year. So I don't know what the motivation was for them to pull back and say, we're just going to wait and not do it at all this year. They very clearly could have gotten something out of it. Now, if you felt like you had to get locked into a multi-year deal, that's probably not the best thing. But if Nebraska wanted to go out there right now and be like, hey, X company, local company, whether it be a bank or a local institution, like whatever it might be, a brand that you've heard of, and say, hey, we'll give you a sweetheart deal. How about a couple $1 million for 1 year? We have an opt-out after next year. We throw your jersey patches. We'll see how it goes for all of us. We'll gather more information on what the patch actually means and how much it's worth. And you'll gather more information on what it does for your company. And we'll gather again in a year, and maybe we're a great partner going forward, or maybe not. That's a free way for Nebraska to make a couple $1 million right there. Now, my sense is that, and let me know if I'm being, overly, I suppose, critical, I guess, of that. I'm not critical about it, but it feels like as Notre Dame and Ohio State and these deals come out and we're like, whoa, your eyes start flashing like Mr. Krabs with dollar signs in his eyes or stuff like that, and things of that nature. It feels like maybe there was a twinge of, this deal was not going to be nearly as lucrative of that. So do we really want to be like, hey, I know Ohio State just got like X, 10, 12, $17 million for their jersey deals, but our $4 million deal, do we really want to do that? Like, is that a sound business decision to not take $4 million or $3 million or $5 million this year to not do it just so it doesn't look weird compared to the Ohio States of the world? No. But it's one of the things that I certainly thought about this week. So that is sort of interesting. This is surprising to me, for the record. I really thought that this was a slam dunk, an easy way to make a few $1 million this year in a world where we are talking a lot about revenue and added revenue streams. And we're talking about season ticket holders moving seats, and, a lot of the onus is being put on fans. This is an easy opportunity, I think. And I say easy, I know everything, it's not easy to sell whatever, but it's Nebraska football uniforms, like probably not particularly difficult to sell to local sponsors around, or regional sponsors around the region. So easier said than done, obviously, but it's just weird in a space where all the talk and all the conversation is about revenue streams and additional revenue streams. We got to do concerts and we got to do, we have to, every seat inside of the Devaney Center or Pinnacle Bank Arena or Memorial Stadium is a dollar figure attached to it. And we have to maximize all of that in order to stay afloat as an athletic department. At least that's what we hear all the time. It's weird to me that Nebraska is going to be one of a dozen schools around the country who doesn't have a uniform patch on their jersey. And I'm not sitting here like, oh my God, they have to have the uniform patch because they have to be like everything else. It just seems like a slam dunk to me because everybody else is doing it. And, there's also this thing that I've talked about before where Nebraska has always, they've always been very vocal and very public about this idea that they wanted to be like innovators and, first on the scene and stuff like that. Like, I don't know, this sort of runs counterintuitive to that. I am surprised by this. Like I said, especially for as much as they talk about being innovators, I wonder what happened here. I wonder if there's more than meets the eye. I don't know, but it is certainly odd to me that they're not going to have that going for them next year. Am I mad about it? No. Ultimately, it doesn't matter to me whether the athletic department has $5 million more or not, or 6 or 7 or whatever million more dollars or not. Doesn't bother me none. They'll have to find those revenue streams elsewhere. And I am sure they're fine. And it certainly doesn't matter that Nebraska is one of, imagine a world where Nebraska is one of 2 schools in the Big Ten that doesn't have a sponsor on their jersey this year. That doesn't bother me. Certainly doesn't matter to me. I don't care. I don't know if people do or don't care about that piece of it. But hey, no skin off my back. But like I said, I'm a little bit surprised about it. Couple comments here from you all, 402-951-1620. You can send those in. Text from the 616. This is Greg in Michigan, by the way. He says, Dannon doesn't have to worry about patches in the postseason in playoff games. No, he probably doesn't. And that quote was thrown out there, and I immediately said, ooh, this is probably not going to bounce back very well on him. But you have things like the NCAA basketball tournament, which people forget Nebraska was in and made a deep run into last year into the second weekend. They played 3 games. Like, that's valuable. Like, so you do want to know what the actual value of it is. But once again, that doesn't stop anything else. So it hasn't stopped anybody else from doing it. Ryan in Delaware writes in, he says, ultimate translation, they won't get paid what they want because they haven't won enough. I mean, that could be another way to look at it too. If you just wait one more year, maybe you have this.
See how the season
you
goes.
have this great season this year, and then you could go back to market and say you want more. But once again, I don't know what's stopping you from doing a 1-year deal worth a smaller amount of money to just take the layup.
I think it doesn't. I think it doesn't really matter like what happens this season. I think just the name, the brand, Nebraska, it's really huge in the Midwest in general.
Oh, there's no doubt. There's no doubt. I mean, winning doesn't change. Winning or losing doesn't change anything like that. I mean, we're talking about a pretty big institution as far as this state is concerned. So I want to hear from you guys. 402-951-1620 on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. You could call or you can text that number. We would love to hear from you all. Quickly, before we take a break here, Nebraska basketball, who will also not have a jersey patch this year, for the record. Nebraska basketball announced their full and complete non-conference basketball schedule.
Finally got it.
Yesterday. Oh, yes, Joey, someone said schedules. That is right. Were you excited when you saw this?
I was amazed to see 3 exhibition games on.
I know.
There.
It is weird. Now, this October 9th, like October 9th is not that far away.
Yeah, that's just
October 9th is against St. Louis, who has been a good team recently. Like, that's kind of, dare I say, and I know I give a lot of crap to Nebraska about playing, crap non-con games. There is some truth to it. That is probably the most exciting non-con game at Pinnacle Bank Arena this year. And it's an exhibition game against St. Louis on October 9th.
It is because they got BYU on the road and they're playing Kansas State out in Grand Island. I mean, it's Grand Island's in the state of Nebraska. I would
but it's still an exhibition.
Yeah, it is.
It's still an exhibition. And then so the other games, is the full picture has been announced yesterday for Nebraska basketball. Starting off the season officially on the first day of the season, Monday, November 2nd, against Lemoyne, which I don't even know what that is. Providence and Mohegan Sun later that week. You have Lindenwood. You have the Sioux Falls game, which obviously that's a great, an opportunity for fans to get out there and see Nebraska basketball. That always invigorates people. They play Boise State this year. South Dakota comes to Pinnacle Bank Arena. You play Butler in Chicago, neutral site game. You have Southern at PBA. You go to Omaha to play Creighton this year. The Missouri game in Kansas City. There you have Mount St. Mary's, FDU, and New Haven.
Weren't they supposed to play DePaul?
I don't even know who most of these schools are.
Weren't they supposed to play DePaul as well? I thought I remember hearing Nebraska was going to play DePaul.
That's probably just in Chicago. It's at or it's not at DePaul's arena. It's at the UIC, I think, or UIC's arena.
They are playing Butler in Chicago.
Right. Maybe that's what you were thinking of.
I don't know.
Is there some tournament maybe that they're playing?
No, I don't.
They could play DePaul in.
I think I was mistaken.
Yeah. So
Something.
there you go. There's the non-con slate. And you know what's funny? We had the news yesterday that they weren't going to go forward with the reseed at Pinnacle Bank Arena this year.
Yeah.
And obviously you have a great conference slate as you do in the Big Ten every single year. Nebraska's going to have home games this year with Indiana, Iowa, Michigan, Michigan State, Minnesota, Ohio State, Penn State, Rutgers, UCLA, and USC. So there's a lot of reason to be excited inside conference play this year for Nebraska basketball. But I thought about it and I looked at the schedule yesterday. I was like, oh man, good thing they didn't do like the reseat thing. People probably would not have been at their all-time excited to like buy season basketball, even though they were so good last year. And there's a more of a activation, I think, in the fan base for Nebraska basketball than there has ever been. And so maybe the schedule is just rendered useless by the fact that they were so good last year and nobody cares who they're playing anymore. But you do want to attract, people with these non-conference games early in the season to kind of get the ball rolling a little bit. And the games at home at PBA are just well, I'm sure they'll be sold out, but they're not particularly exciting.
There's a high investment rate for the basketball program at the moment.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. So maybe they feel like, hey, we could do this. And what Fred Hoiberg talked about a couple weeks ago, which is, we can't really get. It's hard to get home and homes, which is understandable as well. So we'll take a quick timeout. I want to hear from you guys, 402-951-1620. Get those opinions in for I Have an Opinion coming up in a little over a half hour. Once again, 402-951-1620. Tweeted us at Happen Schaefer on the Liquid Trucking Zone Twitter feed. We'll take a look at that, see what you have for us, and plenty more coming up on Happer Schaefer on 1620 The Zone. We have a variety of different opinions in already in the both in the Equitable Bank Zone inbox and on the Liquid Trucking Zone Twitter feed. Continue to get those in. We need plenty of them. We'll get to I Have an Opinion coming up in exactly a half hour's time. Of course, we have Joey's headlines coming up in a few minutes.
Sure do.
As well, a quick reminder that 1620, the Zone Golf Tournament, is happening Friday, August 21st at Miracle Hills. We'll be out there doing the show in the morning. It is a shotgun start at, I believe, 8:30. Do we have that? Yes, there it is, 8:30 in the morning. So come on out, register your team. Head to 1620thezone.com to do that. Of course, there'll be prizes, par 3 opportunities where you could win a boatload of cash from Langfeld Overhead Doors. So head to 1620thezone.com to register your team now. It is brought to you by Cutwater and T-Box. And then, of course, we'll be out there on that Friday morning. And young Matt will be out there right after us. And Unsportsmanlike Conduct will be at the Phoenix where the after party is, because everybody knows after the party is the after party. So we'll be there. Also from Trey Dannon yesterday, talking about jersey patches. Man, we have talked. I mean, this could very well be the summer of jersey patches. This was
Very
like,
well is.
I don't know what this, I don't know what
Summer
the
of jerseys.
I don't know what the hit, like the hot button word of the summer was last year. I'd have to think about that a little bit. 2 years ago, I think we were back to like realignment and things of that nature. I don't know. I thought it was going to be the summer of Sorsby. It's not the summer of Sorsby. It's the summer of patches, which sort of weird, but every summer there's a thing that we get like hyper focused on. And so let's move on from the summer of patches. Now that Nebraska's officially not going to have one. Trey Dannon also said this yesterday with Sam McEwen from the Omaha World Herald. He wrote, as Big Ten Commissioner Tony Petitti faced questions about whether his league would mandate a non-conference game against Power 4 competition, Dannon said the league is exploring playing 10 conference games.
Whoa.
Yeah, interesting. I don't think that I had heard that before either. He said, quote, we're all assuming a playoff expansion to 24 teams right now, and that does definitely seem to be the way the wind is blowing. And it's certainly the opinion of the coaches in the Big Ten Conference, because they're falling in line with what the commissioner wants. Yes, if you would have straw pulled people at SEC Media Days last week, you would have said, I don't think we're going to 24. I don't know. I don't know what we're doing.
I heard things from particular people from the SEC or from a network that covers them regarding playing 9 conference games, saying they're already going to be gassed by the time they're done with those 12 games.
Well, how about this?
Excuses.
How about 10? He says, we're all assuming a playoff expansion to 24, Dannon said. And at that point, I think the Big Ten will be seriously evaluating 10 conference games. Sam writes, of course, Nebraska is down the road in a couple of Power 4 home and home non-conference series deep into the 2030s. They have a couple on the books already. He said he declined to divulge the teams or the leagues. The Huskers already have Oklahoma 29-30, Arizona 28-31, Oklahoma State 34-35. And a return home game with Cincinnati in 33 on the books for A4, whatever you want to call them, opponents right now in the non-con. Imagine that. Now, once again, as a person who loves to watch good football games, and I certainly think there is value, even if you are afraid of losing, there is value in playing good non-conference teams in the non-conference part of the season because it invigorates your fan base and all these different things. Like I've explained a million times before, admittedly, 11 power conference games is quite heavy. It
is.
And honestly, I don't even know that I'd be for that. And I don't know why the Big Ten feels like 10 would be the answer instead of like, there is one angle I see to this that would make a little bit of sense. And it's because of the Big Ten's own lack of,
watchability games.
Well, no, it's just,
would it be that
you have 100 teams in the conference.
Yeah.
And so if you have 9 every year, then you're only playing, a little bit more than half the teams that you have available to play. And you might go a couple of years without seeing somebody in the conference. So if you have 10 conference games, you're more likely to see a majority, more of the conference over a shorter period of time. Now, I think so with that being said, there's all these new schools in the Big Ten, the Oregons, the Washingtons, the USCs, and the UCLAs. There's just the East Coast schools as well, although I don't know that anybody's dying to play Rutgers or Maryland. But, it is almost like there is multiple conferences, and it is almost like a part of the conference is the non-conference. So I kind of see it from that, point of view. However, I think part of the allure of non-conference games is the uniqueness of it. It's not particularly unique to, at a certain point in 5 years or whatever, it won't be unique for Iowa fans to go to Washington or for Nebraska fans to go to USC. There's going to be a road trip to Los Angeles 2 out of every 4 years in the way the current scheduling format works. I'd never heard that before. I don't see that, for the record. I don't know why they would, only for pettiness, because the SEC had spent all this time this week talking about how their 9 games are harder than anybody else's 9 games and nobody could compete with our 9 games. And so if Tony Petitti came in and he was like, actually, let's just do 10.
That would raise the bar for them.
That would just be a huge middle finger to the SEC. I don't think it's worth it for just to give the SEC the old tip of the cap and say, hey, well, we got 10 now. What are you going to do? I think the best way to do it is have both, now that both conferences are at 9, the SEC and the Big Ten are both at 9. You have 9 games for each of those 2 leagues, and you come up with some sort of a scheduling agreement. Now, the Big Ten and the SEC are probably never going to get along on this, and it's hard to do it because, whatever, for a variety of different reasons. They play under different rules, and coaches get mad, and whatever it might be. Coaches like to protect their schedule. There's no doubt about that. But if you just, you match it up like they used to do with the Big Ten ACC Challenge in basketball. Yeah. You just say boom, 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 right down the line. Now, there's 2 more teams in the Big Ten than there is in the SEC. So it doesn't necessarily work exactly right.
If that's what they follow in the future, say if they do this, would you say they do a home and home series with these teams for like 2 years and then
I think that's the idea.
Kind of go into rotation.
They do that with the Big Ten ACC Challenge. They did that with the Gavitt games. Like if you get a Gavitt game at home one year, you get a Gavitt game on the road next year.
But you play the same team, like a home and home series. So say
Nebraska. No, I think you switch it. I think you mix it up every year. Ideally.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it worked out where Nebraska played in basketball. I'm trying to think about all their Big Ten ACC Challenge opponents. Like they played Miami once, had a big game against Miami.
They had Boston College.
They had Boston College like twice. I think they had Georgia Tech a couple of times as well. Like hopefully you can mix it up a little bit more than that.
They had Florida State that one year.
I wish they could do it like that. I don't know if that's at all in the cards, these 2 conferences working together, but I certainly don't know if I would be on board with moving to 10. Just do 9 and do a scheduling pact with the SEC then match everybody
up. I do miss the 8 conference game schedule when there was lesser teams in the conferences.
More flexibility.
More flexibility with the non-con series. You get 4 of them, and then you could potentially schedule 1 or 2 big non-conference games.
I know.
There was a year where Nebraska played BYU in Miami.
It was so unique, but now the conferences are so different, where the conferences are so large now, it's hard to find it's almost like everybody's played everybody. So it's hard to find that uniqueness now. I don't know. It's a different world that I certainly need to adjust to. All right, Joey, I got one for you before we get to your headlines here. Did somebody say, as much as you love schedules, did somebody say announcers?
I did not say that.
Are you into announcers?
I am.
I think you are.
Especially when I want to know, or I want to see who's calling the Packers games or the Husker games.
So the Big Ten Network announced their lineup of talent yesterday, joining BTN as analysts for this upcoming season. Ryan Kerrigan, a 4-time Pro Bowler and 2010 Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year at Purdue, is joining the Big Ten Network. Kenyon Barner is joining the Big Ten Network, a 3-time Super Bowl champion and a former All-American at Oregon. Brett Hundley,
Ooh,
former UCLA quarterback and NFL veteran.
former Packer
Former
backup.
Packer and
Ooh.
former guy who beat Nebraska and Lincoln in
I was there for that.
2012 that one time. And then, so those are the three new guys that are going to be in, analyst sort of spots. And then you have, listen to this, BTN's rotation for game analysts this football season will include returners Jake Butt, Rhett Lewis, Anthony Herron, as we've heard those names before. Scheduled to appear on the network throughout the season are Matt Millen, Brock Vereen, Marcel Reese, and this is a new one. I don't know if this is new or they didn't bill it as new. Tanner Morgan is joining some calls this year. Yes, former Minnesota quarterback Tanner Morgan.
Will he potentially be a candidate for the Nick Stauskas of Big Ten?
I don't know.
Coverage?
He might be good. He might be terrible. I'm not sure.
Well, that's Peacock.
Yeah, that's
not BTN.
That's true. And then the play-by-play voices on the BTN: Jeff Levering, Mark Followell, Jason Horowitz, Chris Fosters, Lisa Byington, Wayne Randazzo, AJ Cannell, and Joe Beninati. Hopefully you don't get too far down the list before you start running into some tough ones. Usually Nebraska, if they have a BTN game, will get one of the top couple crews because, people do like watching Nebraska football after all. We'll take a quick timeout. Once again, get your opinions in for I Have an Opinion coming up in just a little bit. Joey has some headlines that we need to get through. We still have plenty to cover. We're not even halfway home yet. Back after this on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back. Happer and Schaefer here on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com. We're just a few minutes away from I Have an Opinion, so send in your opinions. 402-951-1620. The text line is open for you. Also, Twitter at HappenSchafe. On the Liquid Trucking Zone Twitter feed, get those opinions in. We got a bunch of them. We could use a bunch more. We'll rattle through them today. Just saw this from Bill Connolly talking about schedules. Did somebody say schedules?
Again?
Yes, somebody said schedules. Are you interested? Now, it's not like when the game takes place, although we don't have an answer to this for when Nebraska football plays North Dakota, do we? We don't have a time for that, do we?
Yeah, we got time for that. That's the
we do.
6:15 game on BTN.
Okay, sweet. So we don't know who the announcers are going to be, but it is Saturday, September 19th at 6:15 on the BTN, like Joey said. Bill Connolly just put out his, he said, waiting on a few more preseason polls, but I think we're looking at an FCS preseason SP Plus top 10 that looks like this. Montana State, South Dakota State, Montana, Illinois State, Villanova, UC Davis, Rhode Island, Tarleton, Youngstown State, and North Dakota. That's right. Nebraska
I
might end up playing a top 10 preseason FCS team in their third non-conference game this year. Ooh, spooky. Spooky.
Bumpy road.
Of course, Nebraska. Oh, yeah, bumpy road. You guys are dumb. Where is that? I didn't find that one on the
it's down below. It's behind. Yeah, it's down there. It's by good luck with the end.
By good luck with
There.
just hit it.
God, you guys are dumb.
You guys are dumb. Bumpy road. Bumpy road.
I did hear a little bit of that that podcast the other day.
So there you go. Nebraska will potentially get a pretty game North Dakota squad. Of course, with North Dakota State out of the FCS, it does change the chemistry at least a little bit at the FCS.
Definitely does.
All right, Joey, what do we got for headlines today? Give me some options.
Headline number 1: rotten fish sauce that has long stunk up a small Canadian town is finally being removed.
Okay, I'm interested.
I'm
why it took so long.
Yeah, or how long it's been there.
Or how long it has been there in general. Yes.
Headline number 2: Katy Perry gets trapped in giant bottle during performance as fans ignore her pleas to roll her back. I saw this on.
All right, that's kind of exciting. We might end up clicking on both of these. We might end up cheating here, but
That's fine.
I do want to click on the Katy Perry one. I just want to see the picture of this giant bottle and how she got trapped inside of it. Joey, are you reading the Fashion Times regularly?
No,
Where did you find this?
No, I go to a database. I go to Reddit for my my odd news headlines.
Of course, this just gets posted on there.
Yeah, it just gets posted on there. So I'm like, oh, that sounds interesting.
Oh, it's interesting. You know what we should do? I'm going to put the Katy Perry inside of the bottle up on the screen right now, just so people can see if you're watching along with us on YouTube.
Might as well.
So here it. Oh, I didn't download it the right way. Maybe Joey can work on that.
I can do that.
If we do it quickly. All right, this is from the Fashion Times, Joey's favorite website. Katy Perry found herself temporarily stranded inside of a giant inflatable water bottle after fans appeared to ignore her instructions during her headline performance at Isle of MTV Malta on Wednesday, the 22nd of July. So this is more than a week ago now. The Teenage Dream singer climbed into the transparent bottle while performing at the Floriana Granaries, expecting the crowd to roll her toward an enormous straw positioned near the stage. Instead, viral footage showed concert goers repeatedly pushing the prop inside the direction or in the opposite direction as Perry shouted and gestured for them to take her back. This is a great image that's just playing out in my head right now. The spectacle unfolded during a section featuring Perry's chart-topping songs Hot and Cold and I Kissed a Girl, wearing a sparkling silver outfit. The 41-year-old pop star climbed into a human-sized inflatable bottle.
It's on the screen if you're watching.
Which had been named, the bottle was then nicknamed Katy Aid
before allowing thousands of fans to carry it above their heads. The bottle was supposed to travel across the audience toward a giant matching straw. However, once Perry was above the crowd, the stunt became harder to control as different sections of the audience pushed the inflatable in competing directions. So basically, it's a crowd surfing situation, and they were trying to get her to one specific spot, and the plan did not work. Perry could be heard yelling, "Get me to that straw!" as she pointed toward the stage installation. Footage showed her attempting to redirect fans with her hands, but the bottle continued drifting away while she remained enclosed inside of it. The moment did not appear to involve a dangerous equipment malfunction, and Perry was eventually moved back toward the intended destination. Still, the image of the Grammy-nominated singer urgently directing thousands of fans from inside a giant plastic bottle quickly transformed the ambitious stage stunt into a viral comedy of errors. Indeed. I am going to watch this video afterwards.
Just your typical
look at that bottle.
Non-label water bottle.
If you're watching along with this on YouTube, that is fantastic. So, sometimes you do stunts when you do a concert.
She's known for doing that.
Sometimes it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
Of course, there was the shark situation at the Super Bowl.
Yeah, at the Super Bowl.
I don't know what some of the other stunts she's been up to are. I've never been to a Katy Perry concert. I can't imagine you have either, Joey.
No, I've not. Even though I found the headline and I was interested, I've not seen her perform.
Not bad,
unfortunately.
All right, so I'm sad we didn't get to the rotten fish smell story, but there will be potentially another time for that. All right, so let's take a quick time out here. It is time for I Have an Opinion. Get those opinions in. Last call, 402-951-1620. The Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline is open for you. You could text in. Also tweet at us at Schaefer on the Liquid Trucking Zone Twitter feed. It's time for I Have an Opinion. Coming up on 1620 The Zone. All right, just about 8 o'clock. In fact, we give you 1 extra minute of I Have an Opinion today. It's time for I Have an Opinion. It's very easy. You send your opinions in at Happer Schaefer on the Liquid Trucking Zone Twitter feed. That's just one of the ways to do it. We read them. We react. We decide if they're horrible opinions or if they're good opinions. They could be either one. We decide if, we get to throw this phrase back at you.
God, you guys are dumb.
God, you guys are dumb.
Or we could throw in a rant gong.
You're an idiot.
We could throw in a rant gong if you want to call in.
If it's a passionate opinion.
That is totally fine with us. We'll throw you one of those. Most likely when you send us your opinions, we're going to say this.
You're an idiot.
So
More than likely.
Send it to us, 402-951-1620. I have a variety of different emails that I've gathered up over the last couple of days here. So let's go back to this is Bad Takes Doug from yesterday. So let's just start off on a hot foot right here. Bad Takes Doug. I have an opinion - golf. I haven't read this yet.
Okay.
I have an opinion. 18 holes of golf is too much. 5 hours of doing anything with another person is dumb. Or one gets really drunk due to boredom and then the golf becomes very, very bad very fast. And 18 holes is tiring. It wipes you out afterwards. If 9 holes is too few, I suggest that 12 is the perfect amount. I regularly quit after hole 12 and I am perfectly satisfied. You don't play very much golf.
No,
Joey,
I don't.
So
I would just stick with the traditional values of 18 or 9, depending on what course you're at.
it depends on how you approach the game, right?
Yeah.
Do you want to be good at golf? Like, are you willing to get in the bleep, right? Are you willing to stick it out? So I played a golf tournament this past weekend. That's why I was gone. And it's a competitive tournament, right? Like, we don't actually care, but it's a competitive tournament and there's something on the line. There's a trophy and a jacket on the line.
Yeah.
So we go for it, right? In order to do that, first of all, it is grueling. It is 36 holes of competition golf in 2 days. And then there's a practice round before. Quote unquote grueling, right? It's 36 holes of golf. It's not that bad. But in order to win it, and in order to compete in it, therefore, that is some people's versions of fun. It is not fun unless you're competing and winning. In order to do that in something like that, you have the correct amount of focus and care in every single time you swing the golf club. Some people don't have the emotional capacity or the competitive capacity to just do that all the time. Some people, they play 6 great holes and then one shot goes OB and you take an 8 on a hole and you're like, well, I'm screwed. And then it's over. And then it's not fun anymore. So it just depends on how you approach it. If you approach it from the competitive standpoint, I could see how it'd get old really fast. If you're just like, hey, I like to be outside, then it's you shouldn't probably get very sick of it at all.
Yeah, if you like to be outside.
If you're not keeping score. But it can be a grind. I don't disagree inherently with Bad Takes Doug here. The 12 holes thing is something that I've definitely thought about before.
There's also
18 holes is a lot.
There's another factor of having you're waiting for people who are a course ahead of you to finish up their time.
Which if you're playing a 6-hour round, I mean, it's just horrific. And there's the weather piece. If it's really cold or really hot, which about 85% of the time around here, it's either really cold or really hot. So it can make that round a little bit miserable as well. Doug, I'm not completely against that opinion.
Or as Schaefer would probably mention, if there's a Bluetooth speaker hanging around at the golf course, blasting some music. But this Bluetooth speaker saves Schaefer.
It could save you after all. Here's Stan. I have an opinion on the Equitable Bank inbox. There should be a 60-second mute button on our remotes so we can silence the constant political ads. What do you think?
I'm for this.
Is it just for the political ads or just for ads and just for ads?
Those ads and then the ads where they show those are more visual ads. The animals they show that that are in tough situations.
Oh yeah, like in like
You'll hear
Sarah
this-
McLachlan.
Yeah. But it's more of a visual more than
I got you. So I watch a lot of the Barney channel with my child. And like there's a whole channel on my TV on the Vizio TV that's just Barney. It's Barney all the time. And they take like 120-second breaks between episodes or between segments or whatever it is. And they used to play this incredibly annoying music just on a loop over and over and over again. For some reason, it would be like 6 ticks louder than the rest of the Barney channel. It would just be over and over. I'm like, oh my God, we have to stop this right now. And they changed it. Thank goodness. But it would be nice to be able to just mute it for exactly that period of time. Now, there is a mute button on the remote stand, which is, you could use but unfortunately you do have to manually turn the sound back on for yourself, which I don't find to be that difficult.
it's not difficult at all. You just keep your tiny baby remote on your hand and just hover over that button.
If the greater opinion was about how the distaste for political ads, I don't disagree with you on that one. Here's TC on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox. I have an opinion. I swear, if our athletic department's grand vision ends up being a sponsorship from Chico's bail bonds because we waited so long to secure a big-time sponsor, I'm locking myself in a room and throwing away the key. If Nebraska football runs out onto the field with Chico's bail bonds on their jersey, please check on me because I will not be okay. We went from tradition to needing a bail bondsman on speed dial. LOL. Peace, TC. Oh, you were going for it, Joey. You were going to give it to him.
I did not see the LOL.
I think it would be really funny if they, like, for this year, since they don't have an official jersey patch, they don't have an official sponsor, they actually did put Chico's bail bonds on the jerseys. That would be very, very funny. Or you could go Ricky Bobby. He loses all the sponsorships and then he just writes me on it. That would be really funny.
Or just someone pitched the idea of throwing the Netflix logo on there because it's a red N. It's another red N. Just throw the red N there.
Just
say it's Netflix.
Just fake the sponsorship.
Might as well
with Netflix.
Might as well.
Might get sued on that one. Here is Tyrell on the Liquid Trucking Zone Twitter feed. I have an opinion. Kolaches, dessert, but an assortment of them can also serve as breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That is true. You can have different types of kolaches. My guess is that Joey's never had a kolache before.
I am Googling them right now.
There's a lot of kolache places around here.
Yeah, it's something of that I don't eat.
You always say that I don't eat. Like, you've never had it before.
Well, I've not had it as well. But
it sounds when you say I don't eat it, it sounds like you're taking a principled stance against kolaches.
It's also probably something I wouldn't eat, but I haven't tried, so I would need to try it. But another thing is I'm not into desserts. I don't eat a lot of desserts. I famously don't eat ice cream because it's too cold for my teeth.
I'm aware. Yeah, I'm aware. It's great. It's funny every single time.
You guys are dumb.
I don't know if you want it to be funny, but it is funny to me.
It's fine.
We should get you a kolache.
That's fine.
Would you accept a kolache that was given to you?
I'll accept it. I know you wanted me to have some yogurt one time, and that never happened. Accountability.
That's true. I was probably never going to bring you yogurt though, but I do have lots of. I got yogurts on deck. Like,
I know you do.
I got.
You told me.
I have a young child. I could bring you one of those blue yogurts tomorrow. I would just have to remember it. Here is Mark on the Liquid Trucking Zone Twitter feed. Hashtag I have an opinion. This is good. Our society has become way too tolerant, allowing people to wear pajamas out in public at any hour of the day. Unless you're 7, shred the SpongeBob pajama pants when you're out shopping for groceries in the afternoon. It sends a terrible message.
Oh, I'll see that.
Mark, facts.
Yes.
No pajamas out in public, especially it's the middle of the summer. What do we wear pajamas for? Even if you're a kid, I think, like, honestly, even if you're 7, I still think the parents got to say, kid, go to your room, change clothes. You're not going to wear pajamas to whatever, to Target in the middle of the day. We're not doing it. Wear normal clothes.
I'll see some people doing that when I was working at my previous job serving breakfast.
Oh man, you see people out in like
I see it a lot, morning or at night.
Now
it happens.
I'm not particularly bothered by this because whatever. It doesn't have to. It doesn't have to bother me. I don't have to let it bother me when I see it in a grocery store. I just don't know how people do it. You know what? Like I don't know how you physically walk out of your house with pajamas on and go to a place where you're trying to spend money, or something like that, or out in public or whatever it might be. I don't know how you do it. I
don't
wear normal
either.
clothes. That's what I would be doing. I would be way too self-conscious. But
I am too.
If there's one thing about the pajamas in public people, I don't think they care about what people think about them, and there's a lot of that going on right now. Nobody really cares. We need to care. There's always the advice that people give to people, and you hear it all the time, and you say, "Yeah, what does it matter what other people think about you?" I think people should care about what people think about them a little bit more. If I'm to really sum this opinion up, the whole pajamas thing. If everybody cared, if everybody had a little bit more shame, if everybody had a little bit more care of what people thought about them and what's going through other people's brains when they see them in public, maybe it would stop people from being so weird in public.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's my opinion. I have an opinion. Text from the 402. I have an opinion. Hot button issue. Nebraska needs to change the tunnel walk music.
Oh, I've been hearing this.
To Devil's Dance by Metallica, the intro slaps.
I heard another song.
Metallica.
I heard another song was in consider.
You really think that they would go from the Alan Parsons Project to Metallica? I mean, we have to go forward a little further than that.
Maybe they could have the yodeling kid like they had for the spring game.
Nothing. I saw your tweet about Mason Ramsey.
I remember being
Don't be
there.
mad at Mason Ramsey. He's cool, man. He was just yodeling out of Walmart one day.
Then he somehow was at the Nebraska spring game like
he was
decade ago.
It wasn't that long. Yeah, it probably wasn't that long ago. Maybe right before COVID.
I remember hearing his name and I gave a face palm.
Mason Ramsey. He did a viral video at Walmart one time, and then he kind of made a career out of it. So shout out to that guy. He's got albums and stuff like that. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
He's making music to this day.
Well, good for him.
He's not really, I mean, his voice has changed because he's like grown up as a person.
Once you grow older, your voice.
Right. And I don't know if it's good or bad. I haven't really heard much of it, but he is definitely making music out there. I don't have a great put together idea of what they should do with the tunnel walk. So I will not offer an opinion on this, but I will say that if you're going to update the tunnel walk music, you probably don't need to go from Sirius, a song that's to Metallica, which once again, we don't move it forward enough.
I would refrain from going to Metallica just since Virginia Tech has kind of established.
That is true. They already took the Enter Sandman.
Yeah, they have an establishment with Metallica.
Here's Gus Mohawk. I have an opinion. Anthony Calandria will be the next great former Mountain West quarterback. You'd be surprised at how many great quarterbacks have come out of that league.
Jordan Love
is one of them. Alex Smith, a Utah.
Kellen Moore's a head coach for the New Orleans Saints.
Nice. Derek Carr. I have a segment. This is not I have a segment. This is I have an opinion. I have a segment on Anthony Calandria a little bit later on that it reflects quite well on him. So we'll just, without giving you too much information, we will have that a little bit later on in the show. Let's see. Pedro. He's always good for a couple of opinions here. Good morning, Pedro. Hi, guys. I have an opinion. I will gladly take a hot, humid summer day over a below 0 degrees minus whatever wind chill factor every time. grilling steaks, burgers, hot dogs, drinking an ice cold beer, and listening to music or 1620 The Zone, life doesn't get better than that. So I agree, but this is something that we need to remind ourselves of when it's 150 degrees outside. Luckily, I think we've maybe cooled off a little bit today. Oh, yeah, we're in the 70s.
Yeah.
We've cooled off a little bit today. Maybe there's some rain coming through, whatever it might be.
You never know.
Those last 5 days, it was hot.
Are you still recovering from the lawn mowing?
I kind of am. Yeah, like I'm not fully back from the great lawn mowing incident of Monday, but I didn't have a John Bishop. Don't worry.
Thankfully,
a different kind of lawn mowing thing. So these are where the bad thoughts can creep into your mind. You're out there mowing. You've sweated through 3 shirts already. It's 115 degrees, feels like temperature, and there's no end of it in sight, and there's no reprieve from it except for going inside, which I don't want to do. I don't want to go inside. It's nice. I mean, it's the only time we get habitable weather outside. But, you know, those thoughts start to creep into your head, and you're like, maybe I do like it cold. No, you are not Michael Severe. It's fine.
That's sometimes me.
In the cold is way worse. Way worse. Once again, what Pedro said, give me the 115 degrees and I'm dying over the below zero any day of the week. Not even remotely close.
I kind of prefer to be cold than be sweaty. That's kind of my.
You prefer to be cold than sweaty?
Yes.
What is your preferred amount of layers on your body?
I would say, like, are you talking about like during the winter or any time of the year kind of
I'm
thing?
just saying, like, would you rather wear like 4 shirts and a jacket, or would you rather wear 0 shirts?
I would rather wear 0 shirts.
Me too.
But I'm kind of both ways. There's certain things during the warm season I like. There's certain things during the cold season I like. That's why I'm kind of in the middle.
Don't get me wrong. I like our seasons.
I lean more towards cold weather just because I just can't stand the heat when it gets really bad.
It gets really bad, but it's still better than the extreme cold.
It's Nebraska.
Here is Seth on the Equitable Bank inbox. I have an opinion. There is no bigger cluster bleep of a city than. What do you think he's going to say here? This is unexpected from Seth. There is no.
I was thinking of St. Louis for a moment, but it's probably going to be. Is it somewhere in the Midwest?
It is. Well, it is. There's no bigger cluster bleep of a city than. I don't think I've ever heard this. Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Whoa.
For such a small city, it is a disaster to drive around. Never get off the interstate in Sioux Falls. So, Seth, I have only been to Sioux Falls a couple times, and really the only times I've been to Sioux Falls is, I mean, a couple of years ago we did a baseball game up there at the ballpark where the Canaries play.
Oh yeah,
and I maybe have been there one other time, and that's it. So I don't really know what you're talking about.
There was 2 times I was over there, like in the actual city, just not driving through on the interstate. One time was. When I was very young, we went to the waterfalls. I think
falls,
whatever it's at. And then the other time was early March, and that was during the Summit League basketball tournament. Watched Omaha lose to Baylor Shireman.
Did you notice that it was difficult to get around the city or anything like that?
Well, I couldn't really tell because it was tough because there was a lot of snow that day. It was snowing really hard, so we were just navigating through bad weather.
All right. Well,
and this was a couple days after going to Arkansas for the UNO baseball game, and it was 80 degrees outside.
You were all up and down I-29. Yeah. All up and down I-29.
It was I-49 south of Kansas City.
Oh yeah, that's right. You keep going
for some reason.
But then once you get to Kansas City, you're back on 29.
Yeah, you're on 29.
All right. So we there's a couple more opinions that are still floating around out there, and of course we like to take the stragglers as well. Let us know 402-951-1620. But I had never heard that Sioux Falls is a disaster to get around. Sioux Falls is getting a bad name around here.
Well, I should probably head up for the next Summit League basketball tournament just to
Maybe it's a destination.
See for it for myself.
Oh, look, here's Mustache Adam. He says, I have an opinion. The jersey patch discourse is stupid. It's going to happen at some point, so save your energy to be upset about something that matters, like the results on the field.
The next offseason.
Mustache Adam, good take by you. Sometimes we get mad about stuff because it's just a thing that happens, and there's frankly just not a lot of things that are happening right now. And so
I mean, once Nebraska finds a jersey patch sponsor, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be mad that they did not go with one patch over the other.
Possibly.
Or they're just mad at it, having it in general.
People are just mad at whatever they can be mad.
People
about.
get mad.
Yep, people do be getting mad. I have an opinion. People get mad.
We will take a timeout. Brian Christopherson is next up here on Happer Schaefer. He will be live in Chicago. We're just a couple hours away from Matt Rule taking the podium up there. Of course, plenty of Nebraska stuff coming today from BC. So we'll give BC the early wake-up call.
I'm sure he's up already.
After this on 1620 The Zone.
I'm a cymbal man.
I'm a cymbal man.
I'm a cymbal man.
I'm a cymbal man.
Brian Christopherson, Husker 24/7 on Happer and Schaefer, 1620 The Zone.
And we are joined now on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline by our good friend Brian Christopherson from Husker 247. BC, good morning. What's going on?
Not much. It's strange. I just saw
Harrison Ford.
Sean Eichhorst was walking, kind of looking for someone. Saw him out of my left eye, and I'm right by a window. Grant Park's to my right, and I'm seeing people get ready for Lollapalooza. So I had both those visuals at the same time, and it kind of sent my brain in an even more scrambled state than it usually is.
Which direction did you gravitate toward, the festival goers or Sean Eichhorst?
I gravitated toward a quick thought of, like, wouldn't it be some story if I got Eichhorst and we're like, let's go. Let's just go across the street, buddy. Let's just see what happens today.
Let's see what's going on out there. Yeah, I mean, people seem to be flocking over into that area. I'm sure they got some great stuff going on. Yeah, there you go. You never know who you might see at Big Ten Media Days. Were you guys there yesterday, or did you get in late last night?
I didn't get in until 9 o'clock. You'd be disappointed to know that. So the ballroom's not actually being used where they shot The Fugitive.
Sad.
Yeah. So never would have happened on Jim Delaney's watch. We used to be up in the ballroom back in those days, but things have changed, and so no, I haven't seen what happened yesterday. If anything happened, if they got beyond talking about all the patches teams are wearing or not.
No, we didn't get very far beyond patches. It's all about patches these days. Troy Danon mentioned that Nebraska wasn't going to have a patch this year. I'm not actually going to ask you about the patches. If you're okay with not talking about the patches, we don't have to really talk about it, if you know what.
All right, I'll scrap the notes I had ready to go on that. We can go a different direction.
I thought there was, part of the Big Ten Media Days, you get familiar with sort of everybody else as well. And then, of course, today is Nebraska Day. And I know you weren't there yesterday, but was there anybody in particular that you were sort of interested or kind of honing into of I wonder how this looks in, the 2026 season for X coach? Like Pat Fitzgerald talked yesterday. He said he had an entire bag of chips on his shoulder, and there was some Bob Chesney buzz yesterday, and PJ Fleck talked even louder and faster than he normally did yesterday. I mean, was there anything that sort of stuck out to you about the coaches and the programs that we had before us that have gone already?
Yeah, I mean, Fitzgerald and Michigan State really interests me just because of that's such a huge game for Nebraska. You could say it about everyone on the schedule, but to try to start, 1-0 in league play, win on the road. I know Nebraska, if you look at ESPN FPI, they'll give them a 65% chance of winning that game, but it's going to be a tough environment. I mean, like you mentioned, I don't doubt that Fitzgerald does have a bunch of chips on his shoulder from everything that happened. And he's filled out his staff really well. He got LeVar Woods, the special teams coach from Iowa, to come up there. And so I know Nebraska might be favored in that game, but I've been tracking sort of what they're doing all off season, because I feel like that's a week where if Nebraska comes back with a win, that maybe grabs a little momentum, not just for this team, but for this fan base, which I think most people would agree. It's been one of the quieter off seasons around here without as much buzz about the season. And so how do you get that back? Well, you start 4-0, 5-0, and you got to do that in East Lansing. So anything that's said out of Michigan State side interests me. Today, I'm intrigued by Washington, because that's another on the schedule on October 31st that I think it's a big deal for Nebraska. And Washington's one of those teams, some people pick them 5th or 6th in the league this year, and they think they're going to make that jump. But yet they're also a team that last year, they went up to Madison and couldn't move the ball at all. And so they are a squad where, sort of like the USC game was last year, where I think there's an opportunity for Nebraska. And really, I know we talk a lot, Connor, about hey, Nebraska plays teams 1, 2, and 3 in the league this year. They also play, according to the preseason poll, 7, 8, and 9. They play Washington, Iowa, and Illinois. And a big part of making that move is Nebraska getting to at least the upper middle at some point, and getting that as your foundation. And to do that, those 7, 8, 9 games, Washington, Illinois, Iowa, you got to have a winning record against them. And so anybody from those teams that talks, I'm interested in.
They also play teams 15, 16, and 17 as well,
yes.
which is sort of interesting how the schedule sort of breaks down that way. BC, Brian Christopherson from Husker 24/7 is with us. How do you think Rule what'll be the tone regarding Anthony Calandria today as he speaks? I've been curious about this. Like, how do you approach it with a quarterback who is going to be, the focal point of your offense, given what his skill set is. But Nebraska's sort of been burned by this idea of having the quarterback being so front and center and all these different things. And he hasn't played in a Nebraska uniform before. How do you think Rule sort of lays it out on the expectations or just the thought around his quarterback this year?
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I wonder if he'll take it off where he sort of was in the spring, and that was he talked about how Anthony came in and, in a way, I'm paraphrasing, but didn't force the issue of leadership. He did it, in the stages of understanding, hey, guys really respect TJ Lateef here. There's other guys that have sort of earned their stripes, and so I think he built it up, level by level through the off season. And so I wonder if he kind of hits on that pattern of how Calandria has merged in well as a leader without, sometimes a guy can come in and you try to say you're this or that, but you're not actually that. And guys don't really believe it. And I do think there's a belief, and this is talking to other people, that are sort of connected to players and stuff, that he has merged really well. I don't think that's a just talk to say it at media days or anything like that. That's something that they do have going for them, and it's a big thing. And so I would guess he would emphasize that a little bit, because you don't want to overhype it, a thing like this, but you also I think you want to get people a little bit excited. Hey, we feel like we can do some stuff. I think there's been sort of this feeling, and sometimes I get this, maybe I'm wrong on my read, but with fans that are just I don't know, look at the schedule, and they're kind of down about it. And, today's an opportunity. If I'm in Nebraska's shoes, I want to kind of get people a little bit of a jolt. Let's go, let's do this. It doesn't mean you have to oversell yourself, but you can talk about the things that have come together and your new coaches and how you think that can mesh, and try to get people a little juiced up. They're selling tickets for $100 for one of the games. And so you got to get a little bit of enthusiasm going. So that's what I hope they do today.
I agree completely. And I don't know that would be a common sentiment that you hear around the Nebraska fan base right now, is I don't want to hear it again. But I do think Calandria, for whatever reason, and probably it's this way with the entire team, but Calandria in particular, Brian, for a guy who won Mountain West Offensive Player of the Year, for a guy who is currently, I looked this up last night, he is 9th in active passing yards in FBS football, 9th among active players in career passing yards in FBS football. And with over 7,500 passing yards in his career, he weirdly goes under the radar. And then you combine that with Nebraska returning all it returns. I don't know. I'm really leaning into that today if I'm Matt Rule.
Yeah, and like I said, there's a balance there. You can do it without acting like he's going to win the Davey O'Brien Award or something like that. But it's just he's fit well. He's got a skill set we're excited about. We're the offense is kind of turning over a new leaf. If you listen to Dana Holgerson this spring about how they are embracing him getting out of the pocket and sort of the extended plays, and they've practiced working on that. So I think that's something you can highlight. And then I do think there is hope that is sort of built in for the people who want to allow themselves to hope with the offensive line coaches and Jeep Wade and what he's done. And so I think you can lean into that. And Rob Orich, like what's gone on the last 3 to 4 months with him and that staff? Like, how have they sort of worked together and come up with a plan and connected with players? So there are definite areas he can go to. And then there's nuts and bolts stuff we're going to want to know about the running backs and Tyke Hayes and how that came together, and Mekhi Nelson's status. And so there are a few things. Jeremiah Jones on D-line. I saw you put the picture of Dylan Berryman. He's at 352, so some of that stuff I probably get into a little bit because you go over every player for 365 days. But that is also one of the things from media days. You get some of those nuts and bolts items.
Could you imagine if they put him in the Ty Robinson, like kind of fullback, H-back thing that they did with him a couple of years ago, where he would just sit behind the line of scrimmage and then crush everyone who was in front of him, plowing into the goal line. Put the 6'2", 350-pound guy back there and just have him run into somebody. I'm down for that.
That's a fan favorite, so you talk about building enthusiasm. There's another layer right there.
No doubt about it. Anything else you're interested in from the variety of other coaches that will speak today? Obviously, like you said, there's the Nebraska player contingent, which is kind of interesting in and of itself as well. But it's also Signetti Day. He's going to bring this thing home, Whittingham at Michigan. Anything else you're going to be tuned into pretty closely?
Yeah, is Loxley's today, right?
Loxley, yeah.
Yeah, and not, off the cuff, people wouldn't be that fascinated by that. But, another game similar to Michigan State, where you're trying to get to 5-0, and they bring back their quarterback. They actually bring back a lot of returning production. So, any of those teams that are on the schedule, Maryland, Indiana, Washington today, it's worth hearing, like, where, sort of where they're at. It was interesting, with some of the teams, like Iowa still has a QB battle going on. Rutgers has a bit of a QB battle going on. And so stuff like that kind of catches your notice because, that's a position you'd obviously like settled usually by mid-August. So you'll be kind of put the ear to the ground for things like that.
All right, BC. Well, let me know if you get anybody to go across the street to the park to watch Lollapalooza with you. Could be. If I was there, I would go for sure.
Yeah, I don't think it's my scene, but that's why it would have been. I should have done it with iCourse and just seen, like, I know it didn't go how you wanted it to in Lincoln, maybe, but let's bury the hatchet. Let's get over there and see what this day turns up.
All right, BC. Enjoy your day. As always, appreciate your coverage, man. Have a good trip.
All right, thanks, Connor.
Brian Christopherson from Husker 24/7. We'll be covering all for Big Ten Media Days today. Of course, Matt Rule goes to the podium, and it'll be on the television as well, coming up at 11:30 this morning. We'll take a break. So I mentioned that stat to BC. I want to hone in on that one a little bit as well. We still have our free ball. No Max Olson today, so we have a variety of other things to cover still today on the show. Plenty to come. And as always, we want to hear from you all. 402-951-1620 on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. Tweeted us at HappenSchafe on the Liquid Trucking Zone Twitter feed. We'll be right back after this on 1620 The Zone. We here at 1620 The Zone are giving away 4 packs of tickets to Saturday's Omaha Storm Chasers game against St. Paul at 6. Storm Chasers and St. Paul and a special guest, Ben Zobrist, will be in the house on Saturday doing an autograph session. So if you want to go to the game, maybe get it on that autograph session as well, you should listen on Sportsmanlike Conduct, a great radio show that will happen today, tomorrow. Still a couple chances to win. From, of course, 2 to 6. Want more information? You can check out the Storm Chaser, set up 1620thezone.com. It's all there for you as well. Do I have a question for you? So okay. I saw this yesterday, and this is great news for college football, at least in my opinion, or my vision of college football. Iowa and Iowa State have agreed to extend the Cyhawk series, which is awesome in this day and age where rivalries and historically always played rivalries are going by the wayside because of conference realignment, or we don't want to play because we have too many hard games already on our schedule. It's so hard. We don't want to play you anymore, and we'll forget all the years of tradition and history. That's what is happening in college football right now. That is not the world I want to live in. So shout out to Iowa and Iowa State for getting this done. They're going to play it at least through 2031. I imagine this will be rolling in forever and ever and ever. Iowa and Iowa State. Great news. Great job by then. So here's my question to you. What is your favorite currently running non-Nebraska involved college football rivalry?
Oh man, that is a
I mean, I just sprung this on you, so it's a little bit, it's spur of the moment.
Iowa and Iowa State's a really good one.
I like that one too. And there's a regional aspect to it. Like it matters to people over there. It's always, sort of fun to, I think, watch the game because there's just so much familiarity. I mean, there's so many Iowans.
Yeah.
And they've been playing each other forever and ever.
Such an intense game.
Like it really is. So that one, that's why I thought of this yesterday. Like, it's kind of up there for me. I really enjoy watching that game because I know what I'm getting every time I watch it. And it's pure hatred.
It's early in the season, unlike what you get with the SEC, ACC games. You get Kentucky, Louisville. You got Georgia Tech, which that game has been pretty good for the last few seasons. There's also Clemson, South Carolina, which Clemson's kind of gone downhill. South Carolina was supposed to go uphill, but that did not work out for them. There's also certain games that are happening this season that used to be a regular occurrence, but that was when teams were in the same conference together.
I know.
Kansas, Missouri is going to be on a Friday night this year.
I'm glad that that's back.
Excited for that to happen. Would like to see Oklahoma and Oklahoma State do a series, but Oklahoma State's got to.
I don't know what it is. Better. Like Kansas and K-State should do it more for me, and it just doesn't. It's probably because neither of them are like consistently good.
Unfortunately,
the one I thought of, the one I thought of first when I sort of posed this question myself last night when I was sitting there putting this together, Notre Dame USC, which
that's another one.
Which I'm sad that appears to be, going away.
I do miss Notre Dame, Michigan. That's another.
Oh, series. Yeah, that's a good one.
I'm happy to see Notre Dame facing Michigan State this year because those are usually good games. I mean, when Mark D'Antonio was the head coach and the Spartans were relevant.
There's just the Notre Dame USC thing. It just like it's got to have a couple things for me. The colors clashing is always really, really important. And then obviously with Notre Dame and USC, you have these national brands and there's, they played each other a billion times over the years. So like, I just think that's one of the quintessential college football rivalries that we have, and which makes it even more of a shame that it's going away.
We still have the Apple Cup, Washington Wazoo.
That's going to be in September, right?
Yeah, that's in September. They're still carrying on that tradition.
People like that one. That's one of like the kitschy, like, ooh, this is kind of fun, but it's not particularly important games,
Pretty much.
And then same thing with
the Civil War has kind of gone away.
A goofy one is the Egg Bowl. The Egg Bowl, people love watching the Egg Bowl because it's guaranteed for something ridiculous to happen every single time between Ole Miss and Mississippi State. But man, I think you don't have to put Iowa State up with all of those that I just mentioned. I mean, those are some of the good. Obviously, there's Michigan, Ohio States, and all that stuff. But like, you have to put them up with that. But as far as what it means to people around here, and then what it means to the people in the state of Iowa, it's a great watch every year. And I wanted to give them a shout out. I wanted to give them their kudos because they're not letting the game die.
And this,
even though they very well could, because they could just come off and say, well, everybody else isn't doing big non-con games anymore, and we don't want to do it either, and we hate college football, and we're going to ruin it. They could say that. They are not saying.
Excited for this year's game because that's a night game at Kinnick for NBC.
Oh, nice.
So
That'll be ready to rock and roll down there.
Yeah, it's gonna be chaotic.
Rob says, personally, I'm a big fan of Farmageddon. Farmageddon's one of those kind of newer rivalries that, I mean, not newer, but like it's sort of it has been branded Farmageddon over the last several years now between Iowa State and K-State. It's a fun one. Of course, they played that in Ireland.
I'd like Nebraska to bring back Missouri at some point, bring back the Liberty.
Everyone always says that. I just don't like that one. Never quite. It's just, it probably is just an age thing. Just that game never really hit with me. I watched many Nebraska Missouri games, but that game never really did it for me for some reason. There's a trophy, which is nice.
I get that.
Never really hit it for me. Text from the 515, when's the Nebraska-Oklahoma annual rivalry going to be renewed? Well, I mean, they are going to play each other in a couple years. Yeah,
2030 or 2029, 2030.
Which is nice, but it's never going to be back forever, sadly.
Well,
we're stuck with Iowa.
Let's hope they keep that series for 2029, 2030.
I don't know.
They removed Tennessee just a year ago.
Oh, they did.
So
very sad.
There's still potential for that to happen.
Oh, there most certainly is.
Hopefully
and I'm
not.
Definitely concerned about it at this very moment. So we'll see. But yeah, it's not. We're stuck with Iowa for the Black Friday rival, which is great, by the way. The Nebraska Iowa game is awesome. All right, we'll take a break, and we'll come back 9:00 hour. We still have the free balling topics. No Max Olson today, but I do have an Anthony Calandria topic that I want to throw your way, as I mentioned to Brian Christopherson. So we have an hour left here on Happer and Schaefer on 1620 The Zone.
It's time for Free Bowling, where the producer reads questions on things happening in the world of sports. Connor and Mike will have the answers.
I always like to throw an extra one on here. Just saw this come across my desk from WGN in Chicago. 2 longtime Brookfield Zoo Chicago gorillas set to leave for another facility. That's right. There has been a gorilla trade in Chicago.
Oh, no.
There's still time to say goodbye to 2 gorillas who will soon leave the Brookfield Zoo Chicago. After more than a decade, sisters Kamba and Nora are moving out like Billy Joel. Officials say the Western Lowland gorillas are heading to another accredited zoo as part of an ongoing conservation effort for their species. I don't know where they've been traded, but they have been traded out of the Brookfield Zoo. So there has been a gorilla trade. Just thought I'd let you guys know. Don't know where they're headed next. But actually, you know what? I read further in the article. They're going to the Columbus Zoo. In their place, Brookfield Zoo Chicago is preparing to welcome 2 other female gorillas from the Columbus Zoo. Somebody joked on the internet that the Columbus Zoo is more active at the trade deadline than the Cleveland Guardians. Which is true. Sorry, Mike Schaefer.
Sorry, Schaefer.
All right, let's get to our free ball on today. What do we got?
All righty, Connor. Running backs Bijan Robinson of the Atlanta Falcons and Jahmyr Gibbs of the Detroit Lions are holding in, which is apparently a term.
It is.
And are said to be seeking deals that would reset the market at the position. Which one would you feel more comfortable paying big money to?
I do love the idea of holding in, which is just, I'll practice and everything, but just know I am unhappy. I want a new contract. But I'm still going to do everything, But just know I want a new contract. Jahmyr Gibbs versus Bijan Robinson.
That's tough. Those 2 guys are similar running backs.
I think, Bijan... This is just off the top of my head. My guess would be that Bijan has more miles on him, and that's one of the things you're looking at it with running backs because Gibbs has split carries for at least a portion of his career so far. But I suppose Bijan has too. Gibbs is just so electric.
A big factor to this for me is the offense you're in, the quarterback you have, and how he can utilize you. The Falcons have Michael Penix, who is dealing with injuries. Jared Goff is still a good quarterback, a solid quarterback in the NFC North. And there's a lot of success between those 2 guys together for Detroit, even though last season was pretty bad for them.
Yeah, I mean, they both can be. I'd be a little bit more weary. Another way to say what I just said was I'd be a little bit more weary about Gibbs being the 100% focus of your offense. I mean, part of what you said, Joey, is what makes Detroit so interesting offensively is because they have so many other weapons around just the running back spot. And in the last couple of years, they've had other running backs to sort of share.
And good
but
play
he's got
too.
2,600 yards and almost 500 carries over the last 2 seasons. That's more wear and tear than I thought. So, I suppose it's just a feel thing.
Very tough.
Give me Bijan, but it's not by much. I don't think you really go wrong with either of them. They are electric players.
I would say Bijan just by a very, very small margin because Bijan's more important for Atlanta's offense, whereas Gibbs, there's many other guys on that Detroit offense that are highly pivotal.
Bijan, little more wear and tear, like I said. So he is basically right around 600 carries, but about 2,900 yards over the last 2 seasons, 21 touchdowns. Boy, those are some dudes, that's for sure. Gibbs has 29 touchdowns as well over that period of time. I just think maybe you go with the guy who's proved that he can carry more of the load, but I suppose I could see the opposite side of that argument as well, where he's got too much mileage on him. Both these guys are prepared to be, superstar running backs for at least the next couple of years.
Did you know that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has yet to hit a single home run this year?
I saw
at
this
the Rogers
stat
Center?
the other night. I was dumbfounded.
So the first baseman only has 6 home runs this season and missed Wednesday's game with a sore hamstring. How worried should Blue Jay fans be that their cornerstone player could be a $500 million flop?
Incredibly worried. I'd be very concerned if I were them. Now, you've already got great things out of him. He's been an all-star for the last I guess he was an all-star this year, but that's a fan vote, and he certainly didn't deserve to be one. But, he took him to the World Series, took him to Game 7, was nearly an MVP a couple of years ago when he hit 48 home runs. So you've gotten a lot out of him already. But, man, he's supposed to be going into his prime right now. Age 27, he's supposed to be going into his prime right now, and the fall-off has been dramatic. He's been hurt on and off a little bit this year. Once again, the last 5 seasons prior to this one, 48 home runs, 32 home runs, 26 home runs, 30 home runs, 23 home runs last year, and now he has 6 this year. He's hitting 265. He's on base 345, but man, he is not slugging at all, and he's not hitting the ball over the fence. I would imagine if you're the Blue Jays, you're looking at that and saying, all right, this is an aberration. He's been hurt all year. But you're on very close watch with this thing. Ultimately, there is more good than bad for Vladdy at this point in his career, so you could kind of depend on a bounce back. But I'd be very concerned going into next year. Hopefully, he can finish off the season okay.
Nebraska volleyball is getting $200K for just appearing at AT&T Stadium. That's right, Jerry's World, with a chance to make it more if the Huskers beat Florida and the winner of SMU Penn State at the Spikes Under the Lights event on August 27th. Do you expect these sort of events to become more prevalent a year from now?
I do. I think there's still a finite amount of college volleyball programs that you can do this with. Like, it almost feels like Nebraska kind of has to be involved.
Definitely the Big Ten is a big component, and then some of the Big 12. You got some notable teams in Big 12, and then some SEC schools.
But the hope is it expands, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And I would think to do more things like that. It's still really weird. I mean, it's an exhibition event.
Yeah.
It's best of 3 sets on both of the games. They're going to play it in one singular TV window. So the entire tournament is in like a 4-hour window on television, which is kind of crazy and different. And you're playing for all this money, but it's an exhibition. It's so odd to me.
It's weird.
So I don't know if that's the exact right way to do it. But this does feel like the precursor to, a players era volleyball tournament, if you will. That is actually regular season games, and there's money at the end of the rainbow on that. I would imagine something like that happens in volleyball. And if it does, you can pretty much guarantee that Nebraska is going to be there, and, the bell cow and all those different things. I would hope that it spreads out and more teams get involved.
All right. We got more news on our good basketball player LeBron James.
That's right.
He's a 76er. I've
heard this.
He's taken a 2-year, $8 million deal to try to chase for another ring.
Yeah, I saw the list of the college basketball players that are making more than LeBron this year. There's like 25 of them.
I'm sure that guy Hugo Gonzalez is going to make some more money at some point. Anyway, LeBron James and ESPN are closing in on an agreement for a behind-the-scenes documentary series.
Oh no,
that will be similar to Michael Jordan's Last Dance. Will you watch?
This is from Andrew Marchand today. One of the sources described the talks as being at the 1-yard line, with the expectation that James, 41, will have a camera crew documenting his time with the Sixers. The Sixers are expected to be the final home of his legendary career. The documentary is expected to also use footage from earlier in James's career, as NBA crews have filmed him since he was a rookie, including some never-before-seen footage. The financial terms and potential over components of the agreement are not yet known. When Netflix picked up the 8-episode Jared Jones Dallas Cowboys documentary, Puck reported the deal was slightly less than $50 million. I will watch this because I mean, like LeBron, I don't like every decision that he's made and how he's handled all these parts of
Right.
his career or whatever, but I don't have a problem with LeBron. I like LeBron. Like LeBron is a net, and I do find him to be an interesting figure in some of the decisions that have been behind some of these big decisions that he's had in his career. I am weirded out by the fact that he is an all-time great and he's now going to play for four teams. That's odd to me. But that's something we probably have to get used to. Am I interested in LeBron though? And will I watch this documentary about his career potentially? Yes, I will. Of course I will. I'm very interested in it.
I just wonder how you break up the parts of his career into the series. I'm assuming this would be a 10-part series,
Maybe.
similar to the Jordan's Last Dance.
You could put it in the category of not everybody needs a documentary, and that is most certainly true.
Right.
But LeBron does.
Yeah.
It's LeBron. LeBron does need a documentary. Now, I don't know if he has to do it now or whatever. Maybe it's better off done in several years.
Well, they'll probably spend these 2 seasons interviewing players that he's played with throughout his soon-to-be 24-year career.
I'll tell you something, Joey. I think he's only playing one more. I think he's done.
He's not going to do 2 years.
No, he's got an opt-out after the first year. He's done. Yeah, that'd be my guess. He's going to play just one more year.
I think he's going to play the full 2 years.
Okay.
I think unless he gets a championship this coming season, he would retire. But if he doesn't, he's going to give it one more go, unless an injury happens and he doesn't want to risk it.
All right. We will take a break. Thank you, Joey. Those are the free ball and headlines for today. When we come back, I got a reason why you should be more excited about Anthony Calandria than you currently are. And I hope Matt Rule strikes this tone today at Big Ten Media Days. If not, I'll strike it for him. We'll be back after this on 1620 The Zone. All right, 9:20 Thursday morning. Air on Happer, Schaefer, 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer, Joey Warcola with you this morning. Tomorrow, Schaefer will be back in, but I will be gone. And the sauce heist will take place this weekend. But Joey,
I'll still be here.
Never wavers. He never goes anywhere except for when he goes to Packers games.
That's going to be in 3 months.
You're excited.
I'm excited.
The amount. I'm not kidding you guys listening along. Like Joey, at least once a show during the break will bring up his trip to Green Bay that is coming up in once again several months.
I'm counting it down.
I'm excited for you at this point. I'm excited more for you than I am for any of my trips coming up.
And I get to see your Panthers.
My Carolina Panthers. That's exactly right. All right, Anthony Colandrea. By the way, when I teased it before the last break of like, hey, people should be more excited about Colandrea or whatever the heck I said, people immediately started texting in. Let's see. I got one from John. He says, yes, I definitely hope Rule calls Colandrea an NFL quarterback, just like he did with Jeff Sims. No. Here's what I hope he does. Here is the chord I hope he strikes today. Not that Colandrea is going to be this, and he's going to be an NFL quarterback, or he's going to be a first-team All-Big Ten guy, or whatever. Like I hope he doesn't do that. I hope he doesn't make any predictions, because what he does have to fall back on is pure production. Anthony Colandrea. I looked this up last night. I was like Mike Tyson. I was like, check this out. Anthony Colandrea is 9th in active passing yards in FBS football. 9th among all active quarterbacks.
Wow.
In career passing yards. 7,542. There are not a lot of guys who pass for 10,000 yards in their college careers. In fact, there have only been 165 guys ever to pass for 10,000 yards in their college football careers, FBS college football careers. Anthony Colandrea with a pedestrian season could pass for 10,000 yards in his career. So, funny enough, I'm interested in the idea of the Jeff Sims comparison from John, and I know he just razzes me about it all the time, but like, I think what you guys have to realize about this guy is this is not blind. This is not blind faith that you're putting in Anthony Colandrea. He has been a proven productive player for his entire college career. And I'm not saying it's all sunshine and rainbows. I'm not saying he's the best at whatever in the Big Ten, because I want to talk about a couple more of these stats in just a second. Like you don't have to say anything about what he's going to be, but like the margin for what he ends up producing for Nebraska this year, the ceiling is pretty high and the floor is also pretty high. He's going to be the center point, the focal point of the offense. He will run for more yards than what Dylan Raiola has brought to the table over the last 2 years. He will be a sometimes, risk taker. He will, but he's going to, he's a successful, proven, productive passer at the FBS level. There's real stuff here. All right. This guy is a proven college football quarterback. And I know that he had a great year last year at UNLV, and it's like, oh, well, it's UNLV. He was the Mountain West Offensive Player of the Year. And I know it's a Mountain West, whatever. But like, there's a lot of guys who came out of that conference and are now in the Big Ten this year. I mean, a few of them on Nebraska's team. And there's a lot of guys who came out of that conference who are in other conferences around college football, like major conferences.
Or certain players are thriving in the NFL at the moment.
Absolutely. Like that conference has long been a pipeline for really good players to move up a spot and then have success there. I mean, Jaden Maiava from a couple of years ago when he was the quarterback at UNLV, and now he's gone to USC. Now people are saying that he's one of the best 2 or 3 quarterbacks in the Big Ten. So speaking of Maiava, it's a good jumping off point. So here are the other names. Active career passing yards leaders coming into the 2026 season. Josh Hoover at Indiana is number 1. Rocco Becht at Penn State is number 2. Noah Fifita at Arizona is 3. Jalen Rayner, who is transferred to Iowa State now, is number 4. Mikey Keene, who's transferred to Arizona State now, is 5. Jade Maiava is 6. Kevin Jennings is 7. Kevin Jennings still somehow is at SMU. Byron Brown from he's now at Auburn. He was at South Florida over the last couple of years, is 8. And then Calandria is 9. A lot of those guys, 3 or 4 of those guys have gone from the Group of 5 level and have either successfully moved up to the Power 5 level or are trying to do so this year. Another thing to note is this. How many quarterbacks did I name before Calandria that are on that list that are going to be playing their football in the Big Ten Conference this year? 3. Hoover at Indiana, Rocco Becht at Penn State, and Jaden Mayava at USC. And then Calandria. Once again, we're talking about active career passing yards leaders. That is pertinent in this league that is so dependent on quarterback stability, what you're going to get out of that position. And that's where I go back to, remember way back in the show, we were talking about Fleck and his made up stat about how he's the only guy in the league who's got head coach, OC, DC, and quarterback back. Continuity is vitally important in this conference. And continuity is vitally important in this conference in this day and age in college football. And I know Anthony Calandria doesn't have like the continuity tag to him because he's new here, but this guy has played a ton of football. He could, like I said, there's a really, really good chance that he passes for over 10,000 yards in his college career. There's not very many guys who do that. There's not very many guys who have done that ever, less than 200. And I don't know, man, like for some reason, I don't know about, I know why, because Nebraska is in the state that Nebraska's in right now and whatever it might be. So I know why the energy and the emotion is down on him a little bit, but I guess I'm having trouble figuring, this is the kind of guy to get excited about. This is the kind of guy that you don't get burned by a lot. I was thinking about it last night, and I'm about to bring up an example of a guy that we kind of got burned, quote unquote, by. It's not by a quarterback. A guy that I love the profile of last year because he had so much production in his college career was Marcus Watson-Trent. It just didn't end up really working at Nebraska as well as it did at Georgia Southern over the 3 years. Obviously, there's a lot of differences between playing linebacker and playing quarterback in these, smaller conference making the jump up to bigger conferences. But there's an example of it right now. But you get burned at linebacker and you just put it in another linebacker. You get burned at quarterback, it's trouble. These guys don't burn you very much. With proven production behind them, these type of players don't really burn you very much. They end up being steady, solid, productive players. And so I know people love the idea of the ceiling of what a guy like Trey Taylor can bring you or what Dylan Raiola can bring you. And there's so much energy and momentum behind that because you're thinking about the future. Let me ask you to think about the future for this year for Nebraska football with Calandria. And then should it go well, which I expect it to go with at least a certain amount of well enough to where they want to run this back next year. Could you imagine Anthony Calandria with 10,000 career passing yards under his belt and probably the top active career passing yards leader in college football next year, coming back to be the quarterback at Nebraska in 2027? That is something to be really, really excited about.
I would be.
And that has to work out well this year in order for you to get to that point. But if you think about it that way, then it might not be that difficult to be super excited about it. I don't know, man. He turns the ball over, sure, but he makes up for it with his production on offense. He had almost 3,500 yards passing last year. He had, we did the rushing stats with even the sack adjusted stuff and the non-sack adjusted stuff. A couple weeks ago. He's going to get you probably about 500 yards on the ground in a world where Nebraska is lackluster at the running back position. I think that's vitally important to what he brings you. And yeah, I think I've come to the conclusion that I'm willing to live with some of the turnovers if he's going to bring what he has brung to the table at each stop in his career here to Nebraska. I think it's doable. And I think Nebraska could make up for it a little bit defensively too. You get more explosive there. And then as Severe always says, score some points once you get in the red zone. Once you get in that area, you're going to have a better time doing that because he can run.
It seems like he doesn't take a lot of sacks. He
takes a ton of sacks. He took a ton of sacks.
Well, he took 26 sacks, but it seems like 2 per game is significantly less than what we saw with Dylan Raiola, where he's not as mobile as what Anthony Calandria is.
Yeah. And some of that is just byproduct of how he plays, right? You're just going to see that sometimes. He does take a ton of sacks. That will be a part of what he had 39 2 years ago, I believe it was.
At Virginia.
And so that's a part of the deal. Once again, I think there's trade-offs. Bottom line here is I think people should be more excited about this guy than they are. And I don't know, like this may be a point where we always talk about during the offseason, like where have you gotten more confident or where have you talked yourself into something, and this is not artificial for me. I have talked myself into Calandria as the right, not because I don't know about fit, because I don't know what they're going to try and do on offense, but the right kind of player to bring a spark to this offense. And there's, of course, a pretty high floor on him as well. I mean, I love guys who have produced in their college career. And this guy has absolutely produced. He's been around for a long time. He's seen a lot of things. So I'm curious to hear from Rule today on, how he's been in the locker room and sort of the leadership component of it and see how quickly this thing can come together. But I think I'm relatively high on Anthony Calandria. Here's Kyle on the Liquid Trucking Zone Twitter feed. He says, I think part of the reason people are down on Tone is because he wasn't the first choice. Who knows if he was even the second choice? The staff wanted it and had someone else before they had Tone. They definitely did. Is that a part of it? Do we think, that's what Kyle's saying. We think back to that, like, oh, they wanted Minchie and they brought in DJ Lagway and whatever, before they ended up on Calandria. That doesn't really go into my thought process now. I think he's a different kind of quarterback than all of the quarterbacks they would have brought in. And frankly, we would have talked ourselves into Minchie, but Minchie as a player is less exciting. And in my opinion, less easy to talk yourself into as far as the production is concerned for 2026. You could project him forward maybe more because he has more years of eligibility left. But we haven't seen him as a starter. We've seen this guy as a starter. And maybe people just discount it too much because it was at UNLV, but he did start at Virginia too. There are turnovers that come with this game, but give me the production all day long and the experience of running an offense for the last 3 years. I think that's a pretty good place to start.
It's also perfect transition for once you get Trey Taylor on the roster as well.
Yeah, if it works out, if it works out from a timing perspective, you could be the guy for 2 years and then hand it right over to Trey Taylor. All right, we'll take a break. Any thoughts on that? We'll take them forward to 951-1620. I have some accountability, and I have received an accountability on the text line, which is good too.
Wonderful.
I like when people send us their accountabilities, which is fantastic. Back after this on 1620 The Zone. Joey, I don't know how much you happen upon baseball highlights. Did you see any? Have you seen any baseball highlights in the last 20 hours? Okay.
No.
So do yourself you know what? You could even do this right now. I want to see your live reaction. You don't have to show anybody on the screen. I want you to watch it.
Okay.
Type in on Twitter. Search Salvador Perez triple, or maybe even just Salvador Perez, and it'd be the top result. And I want you to watch it and give like a live play-by-play of what you're watching. Go ahead.
Okay, he's hitting it. It hit the wall. Oh, the center fielder missed the ball. Oh wait, that's just.
It's okay. It's okay. Just watch him go.
Okay, yeah, he's running. He's running past first.
How fast is he running?
He's running as fast as CJ Stroud is walking to training camp. Dive to third base.
And then he just
when he did not need to.
And then he just laid on the base.
Yeah, he lay on the base. He did not need a dive run on third base.
That is, I believe, 36-year-old monstrous Salvador Perez.
I love the effort.
Who likely hit his final career triple last night at Target Field in Minnesota. Just a guess. I can't imagine he hits another one. Sure enough, as baseball would have it, I bet he hits another one tonight.
He's gassed.
He is gassed. He is gassed. That's your highlight of the night. John writes in. He says, "How the hell did Salvi get a triple? Did everybody else fall down? It caromed off the wall perfectly, and there was a slip, and all of a sudden,
I couldn't ask for a better place.
He was on third base. It was incredible." Plaquette writes in, Tyler Tolbert, man, got a home run last night.
I'm afraid he would have got sick at that point for running three bases.
He needed the oxygen mask, like the offensive lineman who pick up a fumble or whatever it is.
Thankfully, he did not have 3 beers and 3 hot dogs.
I love one thing I never get sick of is when the big defensive lineman picks up a fumble and has like a scoop and score, and then they give him the oxygen mask at the sideline.
Yeah.
I love that every time. I'm an absolute sucker for that. Love those videos. All right. So shout out to Salvador Perez and shout out to Joey, who has now seen a baseball highlight for the first time in maybe a very, very long time. As we get out of here, ladies
and gentlemen, it's time for accountability.
We love accountability from you all. Here is Cody on the text line. He says, need to submit some accountability. Left coffee on the roof of the car and had the window open on the driver's side.
Oh, no.
Pulled out of the garage and turned up the hill to hear a clunk instead of a rolling up the window. I instead just looked over, and seconds later, the coffee poured in the window and all over me. So I chalked the day up as a loss and went home. I am accountable for leaving it on the roof and not rolling up the window. Man, just think, if this would have been yesterday, it probably would have been too hot in the morning to roll the to roll the window down.
Yeah.
So you're screwed. I mean, you would have lost the coffee in the mug, but you wouldn't have had coffee all over you, which is quite possibly worse. That's the worst part.
You don't want hot coffee.
No, you don't want the coffee on you. If the coffee mug falls off the roof and it goes clanging down the road, then so be it. But at least you don't have coffee all over you and the inside of your car.
That's even worse.
Cody, I appreciate you, man. That's some bravery for sending that in. And good job on you. I would have done the exact same thing. I would have just said, we're going home for today. Just pack it in. Nothing, it's going to be bad. It's going to be a bad day today. So why not just cut it off right now? I'm going home. All right. Anything for accountability, Joey?
I got a few. I forgot a few things when I was running errands yesterday. And then another thing, I need to stop treating sushi as a meal because it does not fill up. It does not meet the expectations for like a lunch and dinner.
I mean, you got to eat a lot of sushi.
Yeah,
if you want to eat to completion like McMaster.
Yeah. I definitely did not. And I forgot. I eat cookies for breakfast, and I forgot that at the store the other day.
You eat cookies for breakfast?
It's a quick. Just grab 2
sure.
cookies
I'm not mad at you. I just didn't know this.
Just have something in the system to start the day.
Of course. You should try my birdie balls.
I know.
Have you not tried them yet?
I've not tried them. I'm holding myself accountable for
try my
that.
birdie balls. Yeah, exactly. I got these.
Ballsiest show in the
I got.
zone.
Oh, we have so many things that involve balls.
So yeah, then I also slept for like almost 3 hours yesterday. I've been on a streak for sleeping during the day now.
Oh, now you're on a nap streak?
Yes.
You were on a napless streak, and now you're on a nap streak.
Yeah, I've been on a nap streak.
How do you feel now that you're on the nap streak?
I had 5 hours of sleep last night, so I'm doing good right now. I don't think I need a nap, so we'll see once I'm done with the day.
We'll see.
Usually when I wake up, the first thing I think about is when should I take a nap today? I feel miserable.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can't make that judgment then. Of course, the second you want to wake up, you want to take a nap.
Yeah, I want to go back to sleep.
You got to make that judgment when you get home.
That's usually like when I have short amount of sleep. I usually have like 5 to 6 hours of sleep going into a weekday, going into working.
Okay. All right. By the way, thank you to Placat for sending me this picture of the who is that on the Vikings? Is that Darasol? No, who is that? Whoever it is on the Vikings, who's got he's got sunglasses and the oxygen mask sitting on the bench. Just fantastic. I am an absolute sucker for those plays. What is my accountability? I've been stalling for too long here.
You mentioned something earlier today, but I really don't remember.
I mean, I most certainly have screwed something up, but I'm like whenever I'm doing a show solo, I'm so second to second and trying to figure things out as we go that I forget everything that has happened. No, I don't know. I wish I could be accountable for more. Oh, Placat, by the way, says Linval Joseph. Awesome. Incredible. What a name and what a time.
Might be a clean day for you.
It may be a clean day for me, but there's always things to be accountable for.
Oh, I forgot to mention. I shout out to Mr. Desk yesterday after we were done with the show. He pointed out the wire on the microphone was twisted, and I did not pay attention to that. So I took in partial accountability for being at this.
That
chair.
was good, but was it you who was twisting around the microphone?
No, it was not me. But
this is not accountability.
But I will take partial accountability for not
seeing it.
not
That's
correcting
good.
the mistake.
That is one of the best accountabilities actually that we've ever had on this show. So nice job by you. Even when it wasn't you and you know it wasn't you, you still could have addressed and fixed the problem.
Yes.
Even though it wasn't your fault. That is what we're trying to accomplish.
It's not Giancarlo's fault.
Exactly. It's selflessness. That is what we are trying to accomplish. All right. That's going to do it for us today on the show. If you missed anything, 1620thezone.com is where you can find it. We have Matt coming in for a crossover coming up next.